From Dwight Perry Stadium on the campus of Bowling Green State University, a great atmosphere for college football tonight. The Bowling Green Falcons hosting the Marshall Thundering Herd. Bowling Green from the Mid-American Conference and Marshall from Conference USA, but they were longtime rivals in the Mid-American Conference. Greg Franke along with Tom Cole for this game. Both teams are coming off some tough outings last week. Bowling Green took on Tulsa, a team that 2 years ago they lost to 63-7 in the GMAC Bowl. Much more competitive this year, although they fell 33-20 to a potent Tulsa team.
Well, Greg, Tulsa's a pinball machine. They score points in rapid succession. The young Falcons hung with them. It was a growing experience and a learning experience.
Tulsa, with their explosive offense, they were down early. They broke out for 20 consecutive points and went on to the 33-20 win. Very impressive for Bowling Green, however, was the combination of Matt Shills and Kamar Jordan, bringing back echoes of Tyler Shee and Freddie Barnes, a great combination that led Freddie Barnes to setting an NCAA record for receptions, and Kamar Jordan, they ought to call him Michael Jordan. He's leading the nation receptions this year.
Well, KJ is he's a terrific receiver, and the Freddie Barnes thing, people are going to make those comparisons, so we'll see what happens. And Shills is a redshirt freshman who has tremendous skills.
Meanwhile, Marshall, their first week of the season, they were pounded by Ohio State, and things looked pretty tough the next week as they faced number 22 West Virginia. However, against their in-state rival, they came up with an outstanding performance. Very nearly came up with the win in that game, although West Virginia escaped in overtime.
Marshall's storied program with a great history. They fear no one on the football field. They've been on the field with the Buckeyes in West Virginia and took West Virginia into overtime, so this is a pretty solid ball club.
Marshall actually led that game 21-6 in the fourth quarter. One of their big keys defensively is Mario Harvey, an outstanding linebacker, 7th in the nation in tackles, and outstanding performance, as you see there, last week against the Mountaineers.
Well, what's that computer game, Mario? He's it. 4.340 for your linebacker, folks. A 4.340, great in coverage, very physical. The NFL is looking at him.
Second fastest player on the whole squad. Bowling Green and Marshall coming up on BCSN.
Man, you guys are always competing.
Stadium as the Bowling Green Falcons and Marshall Thundering Herd get set to have at it here. Marshall mentioned they had been part of the Mid-American Conference with Bowling Green. From 97 to 01, they won 5 consecutive Mid-American Conference championships back in the Randy Moss, Chad Pennington, Byron Leftwich era. But they always had a difficult time, even in those years, winning at Perry Stadium. So it's definitely going to be a case where they really have their work cut out for them. As we are ready to go here, a near capacity crowd. And the opening kickoff sails short, will be fielded at the 29-yard line and return up out to the 35-36. Let's go down to the third member of our broadcast crew, Kevin Breckmacher on the sidelines.
All right, thanks, guys. Great atmosphere down here at field level on the Bowling Green sideline. The fans are pumped up. A lot of students have been here for about an hour and a half down here. The team's fired up over here to play Marshall. Big name coming in here to Perry Stadium. I'll tell you what, Marshall probably not going to be intimidated, though, guys. They played in front of 105,000 people a couple weeks ago down at the Horseshoe. Frida Falcon even driving a motorcycle out here to start the game to fire up the crowd. I'd like to see you on that maybe next week, Tom Cole. Back to you.
All kinds of tailgating going on outside. Vintage college football atmosphere. Matt Shills passes out to Kamar Jordan, and he expands his nation-leading reception total. Shills trying to fill very big shoes in Tyler Sheehan, one of the great quarterbacks in Falcon history. And there you see his numbers so far, and that's not even counting 2 long touchdown passes to Kamar Jordan that got called back in the Tulsa game.
Yeah, Greg, Matt's a terrific talent, redshirt freshman. They want to reverse those 2 numbers, the TD and the interception deal, and that's just going to be, it's just going to be experience and seeing more reps and getting more reps. But he's a good one.
Hand off to Willie Jeter. He is a scat back for the Falcons. Get within a yard of first down. Let's take a look at the Bowling Green offensive starters. Dick Tereso at center. He's playing in place of Ryan Boychik, who is a Remington Award finalist but is injured for this game, so that'll be a key thing to look at. Bowling Green mentioned Kamar Jordan and Willie Jeter just carried the ball, their 2 biggest offensive threats. They push forward for the first down and move the chains early. And the crowd is really, really boisterous right here. Probably somewhat similar to when Boise State was here a year ago, coming in first time a team in the top 10 in the country had ever visited Perry Stadium. Very similar atmosphere here tonight. Jeter in motion on first down. Pass swung out. That one is caught by Calvin Marshall, and he hurdles past the defender still on his feet and gets all the way down to the 20-yard line. Calvin Wiley. And it is first and goal at the 20.
Yep, this is just a smoke route, a quick hit on the outside. Those are long distance running plays. You get the good, crafty receiver out on the edge, shoot him the ball, and let him make a couple of moves. They're called smoke routes, and that was very effective.
Falcons have a Calvin Wiley and a Calvin Marshall. That is Calvin Wiley, a 6-year senior.
And you know, Greg, that's just another way to run the football. Honestly, that's a running play. That's a stationary A to B pass that you're going to complete 99 out of 100 times, and it's just another way to run the football, really.
And they set the ball back to the 10-yard line. Calvin Wiley, they counted the days. It took 827 days from his first game as a Falcon to his first catch, which was earlier this season against Troy, and he missed so much time with injuries that he's in his 6th year. Take a look at the starting defense now for Marshall, and they have a couple of really outstanding players on their squad. Vinny Curry, All-Conference USA. He was the Conference Defensive Player of the Week, even when Mario Harvey made 17 tackles against West Virginia. Curry made 11. Saw a great linebacking core. The secondary, the cornerbacks, that might be possibly the Achilles heel of this Marshall defense. They really like their down linemen, their linebackers, and their safeties. Second down, 10 to go on the 11. They can make the first down without scoring. Shills out of the shotgun. Got some room in front of him. He's a good running quarterback, tucks the ball in, and he got walloped at the 5-yard line. But he's gutsy, and they get half of the way there.
Well, that's an advantage of the Falcon offense. You spread them out. Quarterback looks, and he sees that crease. See, there's a crease. Matt says, I take it. Now watch him deke him right here. Up, little deke move. Corkscrew him into the ground. Good pickup.
They beat that first defender, and he ran headlong into
That's all right.
Mario Harvey.
It's all right. He made the first guy
Paid
miss.
the price for that.
But he got down before Mario got a great lick on him.
Mario's called Thumper because I think you can figure out.
Yeah, I'm not that smart, but I kind of get the idea that you don't want him hitting you all day long.
3rd down and 4. Pass into the end zone. Caught for the touchdown. And the Falcons go up. Kamar Jordan snags a touchdown pass, and I don't think they're going to call this one back. He had 2 totaling 126 yards that were called back last week, but this one will stand the Falcons off to an early lead.
This is an interesting pass route. It's a quick shoulder fade. Normally to fade, you take 1 step and you pop it up with altitude, and the receiver goes up and get it. But this is a quick shoulder fade.
Falcons go for the conversion. Interesting story here with their kicker, Brian Wright. You may well recognize as the kickoff specialist for the Michigan Wolverines the last 3 years. A grad student, kicking for Bowling Green this year. He converts. Falcons lead 7-0. We'll be right back on BCSN.
I mean, Freddie Barnes, you're going to hear that. It's going to keep happening if he keeps making plays.
Jordan's first career touchdown pass, he had one earlier, 47 yards called back in the same game, 79 yards called back. This one a little bit more modest, just 5, but hey, it got the points on the scoreboard and they were not taking off this time. Right, kicking off, doing the job he did for the Maize and Blue for 3 years, drives it all the way back to the goal line. And the ball is fielded by Andre Booker. Makes a tackle at the 20. Got some open field. Finally cut down at the 37-yard line. A good field position for Marshall to operate from. Talked about Marshall, how they were such a strong team. As we see Dave Clawson, the head coach of the Falcons in his 2nd year. But Bowling Green leads the series 20-8, and they're 12-2 at Perry Stadium. Last year at Marshall, it was 17-10. Bowling Green actually dominated that game, driving between the 20s. They failed in the red zone continuously, and Marshall escaped with that win. But even when Marshall was an outstanding team, in fact, the class of the MAC, no question about it, it was always tough for them to win at Bowling Green. 1st and 10 from the 37. Quarterback, Ryan Anderson, a play-action fake, threw out the sideline, incomplete. He was under pressure there, and the ball came up short. Yeah, Anderson has been doing very well this year.
I was just going to say that, Greg. The Marshall people really like him. 5th-year senior, heady guy, great leader, solid in the huddle, doesn't make mistakes, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he understands the offense. They're very pleased with him.
3 touchdown passes against West Virginia last week. Dave Clawson, the Falcons, after watching it, said he looks like he has made some giant strides from when they saw him a season ago. Coach Doc Holliday, 1st-year head coach for Marshall, said he really manages the game well. And there's a handoff, and breaking around the end to the right side, a lot of running room for Martin Ward, and he gets into Bowling Green territory at the 45. Flags fly. Let's take a look at the Marshall starters here in just a moment, as we'll pick up this call.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness and late hit. Number 9 on the offense.
Unnecessary roughness, and that is really tough for Marshall because they already had a big gain in the bag. Here's the Marshall starters. They've got 3 outstanding returnees, including Chad Schofield, who was Conference USA honorable mention selection last year. Lee Smith is a tremendous tight end and a great story, a Tennessee transfer, Andre Booker, and also the gentleman we just saw carry the ball, Martin Ward, is a real threat. Last year, Darius Marshall, 1,131 yards, so good they named the institution after him. And Martin Ward came on and took his place and was just tremendous toward the end of the season where Marshall was injured. So it is 1st and 10 on the 40. They still pick up the first down, but lost a lot of that yardage. That pass out to the sideline was broken up. Intended for Aaron Dobson, who had a 96-yard touchdown catch last week. Bowling Green defensive starters, and they have 7 players that made their first start at the beginning of this year. Dwayne Woods there is the #1 tackler on the team, and their secondary, Keith Morgan, was the MAC Defensive Player of the Week in the East Division a week ago. They have a lot of players that had not started, but they did get a lot of valuable playing time with contributors on last year's squad. Pass out to the left flat, and it is incomplete. A nice catch by Troy Evans. However, his momentum took him out of bounds.
Well, previous play, Aaron Foster, 39 for the Falcons, came up and really laid a hit on the Marshall player. But watch Brian Anderson here. He's showing about a 28-yard out. Look at him step into that, get it out there. Great extension, not enough space. Just ran out of real estate. Threw it a little bit late. 1 count sooner, and then got a completion.
Didn't quite have the ball in time either. Troy Evans was expected to be a heavy contributor to Marshall cause last year, but missed most of the season with injury. They're really very happy to have him back again this year. Aaron Dobson also limited action due to injury in their receiving core last year. That pass knocked up in the air and almost intercepted as Eugene Champ-Bells nearly picked it off. And the Falcon defense holds, and Marshall will be in a punting situation.
Well, watch Brian Anderson get hit here. There's pressure up on the inside. Big 9-7 for the Bowling Green defense. My gosh, he laid a little bit of leather on him. Darius Smith, and when you hit a quarterback like that and you get him squared up in his rib cage, good things are going to happen for the defense and bad things are going to happen to the offense.
Darius Smith's father played for the Tennessee Volunteers, and it looks like a little of that rubbed off on him. Falcons coming with the rush, and the put by Casey Whitehead is down at the 31-yard line, and that's where Bowling Green will start. Let's take a look here at how the 2 teams compare statistically coming into this game. You'll notice one thing with the total defense, both of them right around that 500 and change yards allowed. So they're definitely giving up a lot of yardage, but they've been grudging when it comes to giving up points.
But the thing that really stands out here, Greg, is both of these teams have to run the football a little bit better. Understand they like to pass, but what's happening to them is when they score quickly, and their defense is out on the field a lot. When you leave any defense out on the field for a long period of time, toward the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, they get worn down and they give up points. You got to run the football some.
That's what happened. Marshall had limited West Virginia to 6 points into the 4th quarter, then a 98 and a 96-yard 4th quarter drive got the tie. There's a pass completed, and the Falcons once again in Marshall territory as Jordan Hopgood, another one of the newcomers to the Falcon receiving corps. They are very deep in that area. Makes the catch, and the Falcons on the move again.
Yeah, just a little go route in the seam, and Matt Shills drops it in. Boy, Matt Shills has a really nice shoulder rotation, transfer of weight, a really aesthetically good-looking passing motion for the young redshirt freshman.
ESPN.com ranked Jordan Hopgood among the top 100 wide receiver recruits in the country. There's a pass flared out to Kamar Jordan, picks up 6 yards. Speaking of ESPN.com, we welcome the ESPN3 and ESPN Game Plan viewers. Also, this game being viewed in Huntington, West Virginia, home of the Marshall Thundering Herd, and welcome aboard tonight.
What a great tradition in history that the Marshall team and the university has. Hey, that smoke route, the Thundering Herd's going to have to roll up into that, Greg, and take that away. They're giving KJ too much room out there.
2nd and 4. Falcons looking very effective on offense here at the start of the game. Jeter in motion. Shills alone in the backfield, whips the ball forward, could not be handled by Kamar Jordan.
You know, the Marshall coach, does he have the best name in all of college football coaching, folks? Doc Holliday. I'm saying Coach Clausen, we may have to go with High Noon Clausen versus Doc Holliday. How about your college coach being named Doc Holliday? I love it.
The reputation is one of the best recruiters in the nation. Assistant coach at programs such as Florida, NC State, and West Virginia. So he's certainly been around the block. Kick of the clock, shy of 5 minutes elapsed. 3rd and 4. Shields under pressure. Gets out of pressure very coolly and passes it out on the right, and it is complete. That's caught by Alex Baer.
Well, now watch Shields. You see, that's a heady move. Did you see him step up when the pressure came? He stepped up to buy a little time and create a window for him to throw the football. That's a smart move by a redshirt freshman quarterback. Man has a lot of skills.
Yeah, great full extension catch by Alex Baer. That's his 2nd catch of the year. Another newcomer, just a freshman to this Falcon team. They lost Jimmy Schuyler, who was a great tight end off the squad last year. There's Willie Jeter bursting up the middle. He's a little guy, but he's extremely strong and powerful. His inch is 375 pounds or more, and he just really drove out, ground out 7 yards on the play.
Yeah, Willie's very deceiving. He may be a little short in stature, but boy, he is rock solid. And I believe he's a guy the Falcons have to get involved in the game early on. Give him a feel for running the ball, attack the heart of the Marshall defense, and I think that'll open up things for the Falcons. He's a real talent.
2nd down, long 4. Shills pass out. That ball was juggled momentarily by Tyrone Plotty. He got it back, and for a moment it looked like he was going to bolt into the end zone. He got down to the 11-yard line before they finally stopped him. Plotty was injured in the opening game of the season last year. He was one of the most experienced receivers, missed the entire year, but he has come back with a vengeance and has gone over 100 yards with his 10th reception on that play.
Well, TP, that's great concentration by Prani. Watch this. TP double catches the ball. The first time it goes up, pops up, he maintains eye level, and then brings it in the 2nd time. That's hard to do.
He's also done a great job as a kick returner this year. Jeter up the middle once more, surging ahead for a couple of yards on 1st down.
You know, that's only a couple of yards on that play, but Bowling Green has to do that. You know, they have to probe at the center of the Marshall defense, make them stay honest, and that will open up even more the passing game. And the Herd's going to have to roll up on these wide receivers. They're giving them, the Bowling Green wide receivers, a lot of space out there.
Willie Jeter coming to the sideline, enters this year's 16th leading rusher in Bowling Green history. He'll get as high as probably the top 5 if he has a good year this season. Got excellent speed in the open field. That pass was just behind Tyrone Prati and falls incomplete. It will go to 3rd down and 9.
Yeah, you got a flag, and the way that the striper threw it, he threw it with a lot of energy. That usually means a hold, but we'll see.
Yes, indeed.
When they take that flag and they really get pumped up about it, the stripers throw it hard. They get pumped up about seeing a hold for some reason. I never quite figured that out, but the stripers get pumped up about it.
They walk it off.
And Coach Clausen, the great BG coach, he's not as pumped up about the hold. You can see that.
4 cracks at it. 2nd and 19. Dave Clausen came in, had an excellent season a year ago. The Falcons started 1-4, then they finished with a rush. Ended up bowl eligible, went to the Humanitarian Bowl and came within a minute of defeating Idaho in that game. Pass, and just too high for Kamara Jordan to bring down. We'll go to 3rd and 19 now.
Well, there was just enough pressure, perceived pressure on Matt Shills to make him just throw it a count sooner because he had his man out there. One more count, and he could have set his feet and delivered the football.
Marshall last year also played in the bowl game. They played the Little Season Pizza Bowl against another ex-Mid-American Conference foe for them, Ohio. And the 2 teams with the same color scheme, too. It looked like an inter-squad scrimmage that night. 3rd and 19. Shills, the rush, swung it out to Jordan. A great 360 move, but he will not be able to penetrate further as again he is stopped short by Omar Brown, and he is one of the outstanding defensive players on this Marshall squad, thrust into his starting role when John Saunders suffered a season-ending injury a year ago and excelled.
Well, KJ looked like Bereznikov there. It was inside bubble screen, and credit Marshall. They brought inside pressure, which made Shills hurry a little bit and threw the timing off. Good job by the Herd.
Omar Brown was third on the team in tackles last year for Marshall with 73, and he showed the form there as he didn't allow Jordan to make anything more out of that. Wright trying to convert to make it a 10-0 Falcon lead, but he missed it. So that was just a 34-yard field goal attempt that misses wide, and that takes a little of the air out of the Falcon balloon. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on BCSN.
Jumped over the lazy dog.
Good. I'll take those off. And let's try it again.
A quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. That's amazing.
I told you.
You're good. A quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
This dude has a sick form.
This guy's a stud.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, EWP equals runs scored squared divided by the sum of runs scored squared plus runs allowed squared. You definitely got that backwards.
Oh, right. I flipped it.
It's whatever. Look, check this out. Lincecum has a whip of 1.23 at home, but 1.20 away. What do you think accounts for that 0.03 difference?
Nerds.
Whatever, Gary.
Jesse, you see the top 25.
You look fat in 3D.
Oh, you mean fat with a PH?
Nope.
Contact your video provider or visit ESPN.com/3D.
Chip shot field goal in that game that could have at least really gotten them off to a good start here. We'll see whether this momentum turns a little bit now.
Bowling Green has established an offense, so they can throw the smoke routes, they can get their wide receivers open, but Marshall hasn't established anything, so they need to find something they can hang their hat on. They're going to pound it a little bit in the middle here.
Well, they tried, but tossed right back as Martin Ward ran into 3 Falcons and one of his own players, too.
Well, they like, in Huntington, they really like Martin Ward. They think he's a very, very solid, very, very capable runner. And he's looking for a crease, and Martin may have, if he'd have taken it inside a little bit, I think Martin missed the crease there. There was nothing outside, but there was a little bit of crease inside.
Loss of a yard on the play. 2nd and 11. Anderson got time to throw, fires it up the middle. That ball is caught, but the Falcons do a good job converging to prevent any yards after the catch by Chuck Walker.
Now that's why Marshall likes Brian Anderson. Steady in the pocket. Watch this. Feet set. He's looking down the middle, steps forward, and watch that Marshall receiver. Did you see him take his hands outside his body and make that catch? That's good coaching. That's a big-time reception. It's called tweezering the ball. Get your hands outside your body before the DB can get into you.
Robert Lorenzi making the stop. And now they go once more to Martin Ward, and he circles the left end, picked up 6 yards on the play.
Now Martin did it right that time. They ran a little zone bump play, and Martin was bumping it to the outside, looking for the crease. He's kind of looking, saw it, and squared his shoulders up and got what was there. That's all they ask a good running back to do, is get what's there.
He got 136 yards in his first collegiate start against Southern Methodist last year, and he was the MVP of the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl, even though he split time with Darius Marshall. He got 75 yards and 10 carries and 2 touchdowns in that win over Ohio. That play goes nowhere.
I don't know, Greg. I might have been the MVP of the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl last night. I took down 3 large, okay?
I would say that would definitely qualify you.
3 large.
Award.
3 large pizzas.
3rd down and short.
This is huge for Marshall, Greg. They've got to move the chains here and get a feel that they're moving the ball. They haven't had that feel.
It's a big play in this game as they try to get that feeling. Wildcat package, and A.J. Graham is stopped a yard short of the 1st down. And Bowling Green once more keeps Marshall from establishing any kind of offensive rhythm here.
The young quarterback that Marshall likes a lot, they put him in a Wildcat package. And AJ, maybe what he did there, he showed run just a little too quick. It was just quarterback draw all the way. But if AJ would have waited another count, might have run a few more people out of there and created a lane for him.
So once more, Marshall will be forced to punt. Casey Whitehead for the second time. Had a 39.2 average a season ago. It's his third year as Marshall's punter. He got a high kick and forced the ball to be fair caught on the 20-yard line by Eugene Cooper. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on BCSN. Second and 5, handoff to Jeter. And once again, he carries 3 defenders on his back, but only for a yard or 2 on that play.
Well, these little runs, these little probing runs by Jeter inside are so important because it keeps the Marshall defense honest, and then it allows them, Greg, to get to the edges, run the smoke routes, and do the other things, so they're important.
It'll be 3rd down and short. Yeah, this is a big play for the Marshall defense as they brace themselves for the onslaught. Falcons have moved the ball very successfully. A 3-and-out would really give Marshall's defense some confidence. Shills with time, but it's knocked down. Good defensive play there made by Darryl Roberts. And Marshall will force Bowling Green into a punting situation for the first time.
You know, the Marshall linebackers are very active and they're very good in pass recognition. Their D coordinator, linebacker coordinators must have worked very hard on the Bowling Green underneath passing game because they have good recognition. And Dave is telling his fine young quarterback, hey, he was covered, check down to somebody else, or take off with it. Looked like Matt had a little crease, he could have run with.
Right back to punt. Flag is down. That ball is fielded, and a couple of broken tackles there. Troy Evans still on his feet, going right to left across the field. A flag in the backfield, and he is finally put out. Flags flying all over the place. That's the 3rd flag that has been tossed in that sequence, and we'll just have to see. There was an early one and 2 more after the ball was caught.
Well, I know one of the flags, that was a great return by Marshall, great special teams play. One of the Marshall blockers was going to throw a block and didn't throw it. And I don't know, the striper threw the flag there, and that really wasn't a block in the back. I don't know what he was looking at, but the young man didn't throw. He was in position to throw, and he stopped. But I think sometimes what happens to a striper is they think somebody's going to do something, and it kind of gets locked in, and they throw the flag. There really wasn't it was not a block in the back on that play.
This comes back. It's going to be the 2nd time that Marshall had a big offensive play that was negated.
Yeah, it was a great return, great special teams work by the Thundering Herd. And well, I tell you what, if there's ever a better football community in the world than Huntington, West Virginia, Greg, they support their university, they support their team, their student athletes. It's certainly a privilege for us to have them on the BCSN network.
One of the real focal points of that program, 40 years ago, a plane crash took the lives of members of that football team, and it has really galvanized the support of the community around the football program.
Well, they did the impossible. They really, truly did the impossible. They rebuilt a football program when they didn't think it was possible. And Doc Holliday, you know, I'm with Doc on this. He's going to be upset about this because I'm telling you, if it's what I saw the first time, the official one of the stripers threw a flag on that return, and it was not a block in the back. The young man stopped. He didn't throw. And Doc's asking for, hey, wait a minute, give me come on, fellas, give me a little explanation on this.
Well, he's got every single one of them he's holding court
well,
with
if
right
Doc
now.
Holliday wants to see somebody, are you telling Doc Holliday you're not going to meet with him?
He's giving the officials a lecture.
I think Doc might be right about that, actually. He says, Doc's not done yet. He says, come here, guys.
He's not just protesting. Yeah. He is giving them a scholarly presentation.
Yeah. Yep.
There are multiple fouls on the play. Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield on the kicking team. That penalty is refused. Block in the back.
Everybody, get all these guys.
Yeah, I tell you what.
Just about everything that could happen.
Yeah, everybody got flagged. But I tell you, 32 for Marshall didn't block in the back. He was in position to do it, and he smartly pulled off of it, and I think the striper just missed it.
No, I think
here we go. Let's take a look.
Derek Robinson a pass on that.
Let's take a look. This is great special teams play. Now he catches the punt, gives ground. Good move here. Going to reverse. Always a big play if you can reverse field. Here he goes. Smart play. He's going to reverse field. And here comes 32. I don't know.
Well, maybe
there was a push. I don't know. It looked like the beat. You know, and that's smart. Our BG guy did a Derek Jeter. You know, hey, go flying forward. I don't think it was much of a block in the back, but didn't
kind of pushed him.
Yeah, it was a Jeter move. I like it.
So 1st and 10 from the 36. Still decent field position for Marshall. Not really as good as they could have had. There's a fine move by Martin Ward as he put the air brakes on and flash forward for 6 yards.
Don't you get a feeling, Greg, that if Martin Ward can get enough touches, that he could get a continuity with this offense? Because he's an explosive runner. A little speed option out of the gun. It's just another way to sweep outside. But Martin's a guy, it looks like to me, if he can get a few more touches, he could definitely get a rhythm going and would help Brian Anderson find open receivers downfield if they can get Martin going.
He had another 100-yard game against West Virginia last week. We mentioned he did it in his first collegiate start against SMU. He averaged almost 5 yards a carry last year in limited action. Anderson, long pass, and that one is broken up as he was looking downfield for Chuck Walker.
Well, I like Brian Anderson a lot. I like how he sets up. I like his foundation of the set, the delivery, his shoulder rotation on the ball. He's a 5th-year senior. He's heady, he's smart. What Brian's doing a little bit on those routes, he's waiting to count too long to deliver the ball. The receiver, you notice, are running out of sideline. There's no place to fit the ball in. Brian needs to throw it just a count sooner to give his receiver an opportunity to stay in bounds.
Here we go with another big 3rd down play. 3rd and 4. Marshall 42, Falcon faithful had the clappers out. There's an orange out in the stands here, but wide open this time. Booker, who really has excellent speed, appropriately named as he booked down to the 34-yard line.
That's pretty good. Hey, that's just a pro speedbow. This is well executed. Watch this. It's going all the way. Speedbow. It's a quick toss on the sideline, and look at Booker book. He can go. He's got good wheels, a little giddy up on him, and away he goes.
And that call, that gain was not called back this time.
Yeah, and the Herd's got a nice little drive going here. You can start to feel that, you know, they're moving the football. They're feeling good about it.
Top kick and punt returner as well. Pass to the outside, where it is caught by Aaron Dobson very acrobatically. Dobson had a 96-yard touchdown reception last week. He's coming in this week as the top offensive target for Marshall through the air.
Well, Aaron, this is athletic. He was blocked off a little bit on the sideline, but watch him keep his feet in here. Boom! It's hard for us to see on that vantage point, but BG isn't arguing about it. He's an athletic receiver. Got it down.
Talking about how Marshall had not found a rhythm offensively yet. They're starting to attain that, but they're a little bit confused at the moment. And everybody on the same page. Delayed handoff to Ward, trying to dance past a couple of tacklers, but there was just a wave of orange cascading in on him. Dwayne Woods, number 5, the Falcons' leading tackler coming into tonight, led the charge.
Well, the Falcon defense has played well and done a nice job, but Martin Ward for the Thundering Herd, he's a really good runner, but you got to give him a crease. You got to give him some place to go. There was no crease there. The big white wall up there for the Thundering Herd's got to get a little bit better push to give Martin an opportunity.
2nd and 12. Likely be the final play of the first quarter. Ball is flared out. It won't be the final play. It was dropped as Chuck Walker tried to start running before he had possession of the ball. He didn't complete the process of the catch.
Yeah, the proud. Don't even say that. There are too many Lions fans around here. The process, Chuck took his head off the ball. It's called labeling the football, and every receiving coach will tell you, put your head on the ball, look for the label. Chuck's a fine player, and that's a correctable mistake, and he'll go on and have a good game. But yeah, he needs to catch that one.
Especially given the situation as they now face a 3rd and long. Probably could have gotten a fairly healthy gain out of that had he held on. 2 receivers each way. Anderson dumps it short, picked off, and nothing but open field ahead of Calvin Wiley. He is going to take it all the way for a Falcon touchdown on the final play of the quarter. Check that, number 5, Dwayne Woods.
Well, I feel terrible for Brian Anderson, the outstanding Marshall quarterback. His receiver, Greg, got tripped up. They were running a little slide or dig pattern underneath. Here it is. His receiver get tripped up. The BG coverage was excellent. No receiver there. It's backyard football, and you take it to the house. Great play.
Woods made an interception last week against Tulsa. He was stopped on the 1. This time he was not stopped on the 1. He took it all the way to the house, and the Falcons with a 13-0 lead. And Wright trying to convert. What a turn of events. Just 2 seconds left. If he'd have caught that ball, that would have been the last play of the quarter. Instead, a touchdown on that long return. 14-0 Falcons. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more on BCSN coming right up.
Major League.
Last play of the quarter, that drop pass, he just started running before he caught it. Chuck Walker, it looked like big deal. They'll run one more play and maybe kick a field goal. And instead, the interception, it goes all the way for the touchdown.
And you need to credit Chuck, because even though the Marshall receiver fell down, got his feet tangled up, Chuck was in perfect position to at least it would have knocked it down anyways. The receiver falls down, Chuck's there. It's almost like Chuck was in the route, and then he showed good wheels taking it to the house. And on the other hand, Brian Anderson, you know, in the paper tomorrow, and they read the stats, it's not, you know, that's the cruel thing about playing quarterback. The receiver falls down, and there you go.
So Dwayne Woods from Cincinnati, where he was a standout at Princeton High School, leads the team in tackles, has 2 huge interceptions, both which have led to touchdowns. Had he not been stopped at the one against Tulsa, he'd have 2 interceptions and he returned for touchdowns in the space of 2 weeks. Ball fielded at the goal line by Troy Evans. He is shown to be a dangerous kick return man. He spun off 1 tackle, but stopped at the 22-yard line. Let's go down to the sidelines with Kevin Breckmacher.
Thanks, great. Obviously a festive atmosphere down here in the Bowling Green sideline after that interception return for a touchdown. First with the offense, they did script their first 15 plays tonight, listening into the offensive coaches during a couple timeouts. Now they want to get back to running the football with Willie Jeter here, especially since they're up 14-0. Defensively, they're expecting Marshall at some point here in this game, although it might be tough now, down 14-0, to start running the football. But I'll tell you what, guys, these guys are fired up down here in the sidelines. Bowling Green very excited with the way things have started. Back up to you.
Can't imagine it could go much better in that first quarter, except maybe missing that short field goal. And there is Walker catching the pass and flat, picked up 5 yards on first down.
Just another quick smoke route. Again, a smoke route out on the edge. You get the ball. It's a hitch or a stop, but in the NFL they call it a smoke route. You get it to your receiver quick. It's like a running play out the perimeter. And credit Kevin, that's good inside information. What BG is doing, Greg, they script the first 15 plays. People don't understand that sometimes. You want to see how they line up to your formations. So you give them a lot of different looks. Then the guys upstairs say, here's what looks good for us, and then we can go back to that formation. That's why you script plays.
2nd and 4, handoff. Great move there by Martin Ward as he went left and then switched right, found open field out to the 37 for the first down.
Greg, if I'm Marshall, I'm looking at 29, Martin Ward, and the Thunder and Herd big white wall up front. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give him some more touches. He's a guy that can break plays. He's explosive. He's tough inside. I'm going to give him, you're only down 14. That's not the end of the world here. Put a drive together and let Martin have some touches.
Another great player that we haven't heard from yet was number 16, Lee Smith, in that shot. Preseason All-Conference USA pick at tight end. And he is quite a story with this squad. Handoff, and that goes nowhere on first down. Marshall has had a number of players, we see Smith at the top of the screen, that have stepped in for outstanding players. You mentioned Mark Ward leaving. One of them was Darius Marshall, had such a great year. But last year, Cody Slate, which is another good name, maybe a descendant of Mr. Slate on the Flintstones, but the greatest tight end in the history of Marshall, their all-time leading receiver. Right. He got injured last year. Lee Smith stepped in and was conference honorable mention, even though he was playing on the same team with a Mackey Award semifinalist. They have not yet gone to him. They tried to that time, but it was picked off as Javon Leacock, he's got it all the way down deep into Marshall territory, stopped at the 14, and the Falcon wave just continues to engulf the Thundering Herd.
Well, what is it, Shakespeare? I didn't pass English in college, but the unkindest cut of all. Now watch Brian Anderson throws it right on target, right there, through his tight end's hands. That's not his fault. You got to make that catch.
Ron Leacock almost took that one all the way to the house. He's the second leading Falcon tackler behind Woods coming into tonight. Dynamic interception and run. And Bowling Green is on the verge of breaking this game open early on.
The Falcons are playing fast, Greg. They're playing with an energy on both sides of the ball. They appear to be like a step quicker defensively today. They are just playing with tremendous energy.
And timeout here before they call this play. Here's a look at Brian Anderson. Saw before that he'd had a great year so far, but he's having a nightmarish evening so far tonight. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on BCSN.
Man, you guys are always
The first interception did not break Marshall's back. This one has come very close.
Ryan Anderson unfair. Lee Smith, he threw it right on the target. Lee couldn't get it. Jovan Leacock is right there, heads up and makes the return. Puts the Falcons in great position.
He wanted Lee to catch that ball, not Leacock.
Good point.
Hand off to Jeter, a misdirection play, and he goes bursting through down to the 6-yard line, very close to the first down.
You know, Coach Clausen is so clever and he's so good with quarterbacks. There isn't a lot new in football. This is a variation of the old Statue of Liberty. The quarterback pumps the ball to a smoke screen, and Jeter, watch this. This is cool. Pump, smoke screen, and see Jeter come back inside for the draw. That's clever. That's cute. That's sophisticated. Very cool.
Falcons are working offensively with a razor sharpness to their game, and their defense has also been dominant. Jeter, a good head of steam going, driving toward the end zone, but pulled up about a yard short, although he will get the first down.
You know, Greg, I think that when you're down inside this, we know the Falcons are going to be able to throw the ball this year. There's no question about that. But you got to boss it into the end zone at certain times, because there are times during the year, give it to Jeter, get the big orange crush, wall to wall, man to man, come off the ball, and you know, get a slobber knocker in there and push some guys into the end zone. You got to do that. That's important if you want to be a championship team.
Been an issue with Bowling Green for the last several years. They've run that spread formation so effectively. Again, they try to bull it in, and Jeter again looks like he may have been brought up a bit short, but we'll see.
Yeah, that was close. You know, it just is so important to be able to do that. There are times in the game. Take a look. See, Willie needs a lead blocker. See, that man was unblocked. All they need to do is put a lead blocker in front of Willie. The lead blocker picks that man up. See, he's waiting in the hole for Willie. Get a lead blocker in front of him, and you got it.
Falcons try it again. This time it is muscled over for the touchdown. And they take a 20-0 lead over Marshall. Marshall, a team that had the number 22 ranked team in the nation, West Virginia, on the ropes. Held them to 6 points well into the fourth quarter. They're now down 3 touchdowns to Bowling Green. Shields sneaked it over for the score.
Hey, give the Falcons center credit on that, Greg. You're the man with the super roster numbers. You want to credit the young man, but he created a little crease for Shields to sneak in there and get in the end zone. Good job by the Falcons center.
His 3rd running touchdown of the season last year at the spring game. Shields really impressed everyone with his running ability. Ryan Wright converts. Bowling Green 21-0 over Marshall. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on BCSN. Matt Shields looks a little like Tyler Sheehan there on the phone at the sideline.
Like
and he's running the offense like him too. The Falcons up 21-0 now.
He's got Tyler on the line.
Yeah, maybe so, saying, hey, I learned my lessons well that you taught me.
Absolutely.
Here's a look at the play, and a great block there by center Nick Teresa, who actually was a defensive lineman last year, converted the offensive line with Ben Boychuk, a Remington Award candidate at center, out today with injury. Teresa is playing in his place, and he's learned his lessons well.
Well, Greg, that block on the goal line is called a dig. And what the center does is he digs in low, he's kind of burrows in like a gopher and gets into somebody's legs, and Shield just peekaboos in behind him for a touchdown. It's a dig block by Teresa. Nice job.
Last year, Bowling Green, in the game they needed to win to really assure a trip to a bowl game, they flew ahead of Toledo 24-0 early in that game. Toledo fought their way back, where Bowling Green eventually won. Marshall's got to do something similar in this game if they want to make this a contest. Return back out to the 23, and that's where the Herd will, I don't know if they're going to thunder back on the field, more like limp back on the field the way they've been battered here so far today.
Well, it's no time to panic here. First of all, the Herd is a very good football team. They played a tough schedule, and they just walked into a buzzsaw here in Falconville. They need to settle down. They have 11:29 on the clock. They have a senior leader quarterback. They had a couple plays. The receiver fell down. One went through the tight end's hands. So settle it down here. Get a little drive going. As you would say, matriculate the ball down the field, get a score, and you're right back in the ball game. There's no time to panic here.
Good move in the backfield. You've seen him do that very well, but when he's got the team portrait of the Falcons staring him in the face, there's not much you can do. Maybe 2nd and 10.
Got a new QB here, Greg. Number 8 for Marshall
is Eddie Sullivan. He's a freshman.
Yep.
Who is a very, very highly rated quarterback. Boca Raton High School. A lot of these players come from Florida. Hand off and got a yard. Interesting, we mentioned it was the 40th anniversary of that tragic plane accident that took the lives of the Marshall football players. Eddie Sullivan, a true freshman, came in. They all watched the movie We Are Marshall to kind of give them a feel for what it's all about. And he was so moved by it, Eddie Sullivan, that he went out on his own, took one of the freshman teammates, visited the cemetery where there's a memorial to those players, and actually visited the site of the accident because he just felt that he wanted to kind of be a part of it.
It was an emotional story, no question about that.
Tremendous maturity for a true freshman, and now he's on the field, staring down the barrel of the Falcon defense, tucks the ball under and runs, trying to scamper for that yard marker. Well, maybe came up a yard shy. We'll see where they place the ball.
Depends where the stripers put it down, left foot, right foot, but it looks, I don't know, it looks a pretty good spot. Might come up a little short. But what you learned about Eddie right there, he's got a little salsa in his step there. Now they gave him a spot. You watched him get out of the pocket, he can accelerate. He's got a little better movement than Brian Anderson. Sullivan can move a little bit.
He was recruited by programs such as Wake Forest, Iowa State, Kansas State, Southern Mississippi, Tennessee. A lot of programs all over him. He chose to go to Huntington, West Virginia. There's Andre Booker breaking through the defense. He has really got some giddy up, and he's going to take it all the way to the end zone. And all of a sudden, things are looking a little bit brighter in Huntington.
Well, in football, you got to get them back one at a time, but boy, Booker can book. I mean, you know, the minute he hit the edge, there was no question about it. He was gone. A couple of Falcons had an angle on him, but Booker's so fast. Watch this. Little slash off to the right. Now watch him get to the edge right here. Now, since some of the Falcons had an angle, you know what he did? Booker outran the angle. You have to be really quick to outrun an angle.
21-6. And Tyler Warner on to try to convert here, and does. So it is all of a sudden 21-7. Marshall shows that they're far from beaten. Let's take a break, and I'll be right back on BCSN. Tab to learn more. Buckeye Express customers already receive BCSN Vision at no cost. Take advantage of it today. Bowling Green still in the driver's seat, but not nearly as firmly in that driver's seat as they were a few moments ago after that touchdown romp by Andre Booker.
Well, you know, Marshall did what we were talking about, Greg, and that is you got to get one, you got to get on the board, 21-7, 9:29 to go. You get a 3 and out here, you get the ball back again, you got a little feel of this game now, and you get right back into it.
Kick angling over to Tyrone Pronti at the 5. Need to get outside, he shucked off a tackler. Finally ran into the wave of green and white out at the 25-yard line. Tyrone Pronti at 151 yards on 5 kick returns in the opener, including a 48-yarder against the Troy Trojans in a game which Bowling Green just lost at the end. Here's the drive summary. It really was just one play, 68 out of the 78 yards covered in that one fell swoop.
Yeah, credit Mr. Booker again. You know, once he had the feel and he got on the edge, there were some Falcons that had a good angle on him, but he just flat out outran the angle.
First and 10. See if the Falcons can reclaim control of the game. Shields hands off, and Hopgood takes it out 8 yards. Here's a look at Nick Tereso. We mentioned he made the great block, but you talk about it's hard enough to go from the defensive line to the offensive line, but having to take over the center's duties where you're handling the ball every play and replacing one of the top centers in the country, one of only 3 MAC centers out of 37, and Brian Boychik to be on the Remington Award list. That's quite a job, and he's doing it tonight very well. There's Hopgood. Again, tried the same play, but not nearly as successful that time.
Greg, Tereso's a good one. And, you know, about centers in football, anybody who's played or coached knows this. The center is always one of the best character people you have in your team. They have the responsibility to make the line calls, get the ball to the quarterback on the snap, and in the shotgun, he is absolutely one of your top character guys. Steady, stable, and a leader.
Ben Boychik. Might have said Brian a moment ago, pardon that. Chris Anzavino of Kent and Colin Miller of Central Michigan are the other MAC centers on that Remington list.
You know, when Paul Brown, Greg, started the Cincinnati Bengals, you know, people, when you start a pro franchise, what do you think? You're going to get the glamour boy, the great quarterback, or the tremendous running back, or the speed-burning wideout. Paul Brown, who knows a little bit about football, you know who he drafted first? I know you know. Who did he draft? A center.
A center.
Yeah, that's right. He definitely understood the game.
Take his Cleveland Browns teams for training camp right here in Bowling Green.
Yeah, that's
back
right.
in the All-American Conference days.
Yep.
Falcons got a first down on that last play. By the nose of the football. First and 10 on the 35. It was important for them not to go 3 and out on the ensuing drive after the Booker touchdown. Gills in big trouble, and he is just snowed under. Finally dropped well behind the line of scrimmage by linebacker Trevor Black.
Well, Matt, I understand this very well. Matt, I've done this a million times. He tripped over his own feet here. Watch this. He got tangled up. Now, here's what Matt does. It's very bright here. He pulls the ball back down. He was falling down. Instead of trying to force a play, make a play that might have been an interception, he just pulls it down and beats it. That's a mature decision.
Loss of 11. Fake to the running back. He was snowed under. It would have lost maybe 5. And then Shills himself was buried under an avalanche. Second and 21. He sprints out left. Again, hotly pursued, and he just throws it. There's that rule where if you're out of the pocket, you can just throw it away. I mean, clearly he was just getting rid of the ball to avoid having to eat it.
I think Matt hit the Marshall Thundering Herd trainer right on the numbers there. He bumped it into him pretty good, and the Marshall guy just batted it down to the ground in disgust on the sideline. Hey, give Marshall credit. You know, Greg, the Thundering Herd up front, the big down guys up front, the linebackers, they're moving pretty well, and they're coming after the Falcons now.
There's another great player in Vinny Curry, honorable mention All-Conference USA. He had 11 tackles against West Virginia last week, was named the Conference USA Defensive Player of the Week. And he has is a stud, along with Mario Harvey. And also Michael Janik, who was putting pressure on Shills. And the last play was honorable mention All-Conference USA. Pass out to Jeter, and he did a little bit of a dance. He took some of those yards back, but not nearly enough to avert the punting situation there. As Harvey, of course, he's the leader of the literally thundering herd on defense. Well, Marshall squad.
You get a look at Jeter there, number one. The Falcons tried to fool him there. They tried to run a little sneaky delay dig underneath and kind of slide Jeter out underneath the linebackers, but they picked him up. They're looking for number one, and they picked him up.
Marshall needed a big defensive stop to build on the momentum created by the touchdown, and they have done it. Right, a line drive punt, angling it toward the sidelines, and it hit Keith Morgan. It's inside the 20. See if they down it there. It almost appears as though they're going to down it on the 11, not noticing that it hit the Falcon player earlier, but I think another one of the officials noticed it. Yes,
yeah, great call by the Stripers, Greg. That is excellent. You know, something they don't do today, Greg, in the punt game, they need to have a short guy with the deep guy. That ball could have been caught and saved Marshall about 15 yards of real estate.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back on BCSN. Pinned back, but alert work by the officiating staff to place the ball properly.
That's great officiating. The one striper didn't really see it real well, and the other one coming in from the back did, and he said, hey, it hit him, and they got the right spot. That's very good officiating.
You see the average field position pretty close, and a great move there, averting the big loss, and Aaron Dobson gets outside for a yard on the end around, but could have been a lot worse situation than that for Marshall. And it will be second down and 9 yards to go. There's Antavius Wilson there, number 9. And he made the all-freshman team in Conference USA last season. Led them with 60 receptions for 724 yards and 3 touchdowns last season. Here goes Martin Ward, and great pursuit there for the Falcons as Devon Woodcock and Chris Jones were over there combining on that stop along with Calvin Marshall. They had that one really smelled out.
Well, it was trips with a split and offset one back, and there's no lead block, so you know Martin's got to do it on his own, and you know that's tough. Occasionally, you know, Marshall could run a wham play where you bring a lineman out in front of him, get a whammer going, get somebody out in front of him. It's hard to ask the running back to, you know, to break 2 tackles at the point of attack.
Falcons almost caught that first play for a big loss. That time they did blow the play up. And now it is 3rd and long. Sullivan running for his life out to the right, slings it forward and incomplete. Again, double coverage there as he tried to find Dobson, but that was very low percentage. Robert Lorenzi, 23 there, was one of the players that was practically inside his jersey.
Well, young Eddie Sullivan does the right thing. He gets outside. See what he's trying to do? He's telling his receiver to go up. See, you have 2 Marshall receivers within handshake distance. He wanted one of those guys to turn and go up, and he was going to throw the ball, but they both ended up in the same spot. That was a smart play by Eddie. One of the Marshall receivers has got to get up top.
Marshall has had one big play on offense. Other than that, they have been completely stymied. Punt by Casey Whitehead, fielded on the 41, and still managing to stay on his feet. A great balancing act by Eugene Cooper, and he got down to the 47-yard line. Eugene Cooper had a 63-yard touchdown punt return in the season opener against Troy. Well, if you're tired of having to wait until 11:15 for your Friday night football fix, you can join WTOL and BCSN for the C-Sports Report every Friday night starting at 10:30. Get the highlights and scores from area games before anyone else. And if you are a big part of that show,
well, I take up a seat. But
yeah, that's what I meant by a big part.
A reinforced seat, I might add. I crushed one of them earlier, but Dan and Dan Cummings, Jordan Strack, and Kent Waddington, they did a really good job. They had a great show last week.
An enormous part of that show.
Well, reinforced seat. You know, this is a dangerous part of the ball game for Marshall, Greg, because the Falcons have tremendous field position, 4:02 on the clock. If they get a score here before the half, that would be extremely difficult.
Going on down there.
Well, they're going to check and see if he was down. That's what they're looking at. See, was he down there or not? See, I think he used his hand and kept his knees off of the ground. And I think when they review that, let's take a look. We got our BCSN cameras all over that. Now watch. See, the knees don't hit. You practice that. That's a running back spin drill. Our guy's got a great camera shot at this. See that? See how he spins and the knees never touch? He's not down there. Great look by
you. Don't evade Mario Harvey in that situation very often and live to tell about it.
But this is a great move. See how he keeps himself up off the ground and the knees don't hit? We got a great camera angle on. That's great athleticism. Super camera shot, and they're going to come back and say, nah, he wasn't down. And if they say he was down, then it is what the stripers say it is. And that's how it always comes out anyway.
Definitive that he never did
it was a great play,
After full review, the ruling on the field stands that the runner, no body part was down. 1st and 10, Bowling Green.
And in fact, are going to credit him for that return. Place the ball on the Marshall 47. That's very important, obviously. Had that tackle been made, it would have been
great athletic play
back downfield.
We had the great Cal Bowers just pop in, a great BG football player, popped his head in and said, hey, let's get after it, Falcons.
Sweaty guys on the offensive line. The Falcons in the early 90s when they had great success under head coach Gary Blackney. Shills passes it out for Kamar Jordan, tried to skirt the tackle there.
Plenty of time for the Falcons, 3:50 and moving. They're in great field position. There's a crucial point in the ball game for the Thundering Herd. You know, if they give up one here before the half, that's going to be a really, really tough deal to crawl out from underneath. And the Falcons have a great opportunity to kind of make this tough.
That would neutralize the momentum of that Booker touchdown. Good tackle on that play by Darryl Roberts to stop a much bigger gain. Once again, they go underneath. And Kamar Jordan snags another one.
Well, KJ, you know, you can't give KJ that kind of cushion. They're giving him 10, 12 yards out there, and that's like stealing. I mean, that is just flat out going into the store and stealing the groceries. You gotta roll up on them.
No way in the world they can cover that stuff.
It is stealing, I'm telling you. You gotta roll up on KJ.
We're quoting Hank Stram a lot here tonight. 1st and 10. From the 36. Once again, Jordan wide open. He's got some room this time to roam a little with the football, and he gets to the 24. Another 1st down. There's a look at the national reception rankings, and it's almost like deja vu when we were monitoring this with Freddie Barnes a year ago.
Well, one thing Marshall's going to have to do when they go into halftime, and the coaches, Doc Holliday, is going to have to draw 19 on the chalkboard and say, wherever 19 is, stay with him, because he could get the football. You got to start. See, they're giving cushion again at the top of the screen. You got You got to roll up on 19.
Jordan with his 7th catch, now his 8th catch.
See, you can't
nickel and diming it all the way down the field.
They're going into the grocery store and they're stealing the bread. You know, you got KJ out there at 19. You're off of him 12 yards. All he's doing is running he's running. Look at this. Look at how far off. Look at the cushion. 10 yards. He's running the 10-8 sideline. It's stealing. KJ's going to the store and taking groceries. Roll up on him.
One thing that's interesting, the Marshall scouting report was that they have an Achilles heel on their defense. It's their cornerbacks. They're a little inexperienced, and they're really playing well off of Jordan. It's almost as though they're afraid of getting beat with a home run ball. And flags flying here. We've got an illegal procedure call coming up on the Falcons.
And now Bowling Green, you know, Coach Clausen and his outstanding staff, no procedure move on BG. They're going to have to be careful here because Marshall could start bringing the house here. They've got 2-10. They got to make a play, Greg. They can't allow this, you know, this movement downfield. They got to bring some pressure and try to make a play, a sack, an interception. So look for pressure. Look for Marshall to bring some pressure.
Penalties, not a penalty-filled game. Although Marshall twice has lost big gainers because of that. Snap back to Shills, looking poised, fires it out, complete, caught. Tyrone Crotty spun away from a tackle and got all the way down to the 2-yard line.
Well, credit Matt Shills on that. Credit Shills, redshirt freshman quarterback. He stays in the pocket. Marshall brings pressure. Here they come up the middle. 3 guys. He stays in the pocket tough, and they make the completion. Credit Shills.
Just some dynamic runs after the catch. And the Falcon receiving core. Another one there by Plante. He had an earlier one where he double caught the ball and then whirled away for a big gain. Put the Falcons in the red zone. Hand off to Jeter. Jitterbug pass. First tackler fought his way to the shadow of the goalpost, but Greg stopped from crossing the end zone.
I love this with Coach Clausen and his fine staff are doing here. Getting down into that man-on-man area, and he's saying, okay, we're going to bust in there. I'd like to see him run a wham play. A wham play is when you bring one of the big, fat, sweaty guys out in front of Jeter and give him a little bit of a lead block. Run a whammer in there and give him a little block.
But the Falcons have a player down on the 15-yard line.
What the problem, Greg, when you run a one-back down on the goal line is you can't block them all, and there's going to be somebody standing at the hole waiting for the back. So you need a lead blocker sometimes.
That's Willie Jeter who's down. He has had some injury issues throughout his career.
That's his cramps, Greg. He just cramped up.
And again, he's up losing under his own power. So that's great news and relief for the Falcons to see him bobbing off the field with some life there. Second down and 2. Energetically trotting off. The Falcons, once again, they've had some pretty good success in pushing that ball over from inside. Jeter scored one, Shills did, and they got that first thrust on the block.
Greg, you got to man it up in here. This is bloody nose time up inside. You get the big, fat, sweaty guys, the Orange Crush. You come off the ball, you bust into somebody's chops, and you get it up inside with the Wildcat or on the reverse. There you go.
And an excellent fake, and Hopgood just canters into the end zone for the touchdown. The Falcons 27-7 lead now with the final minute of the half.
Credit the Orange Crush up front, though, Greg. I mean, really, he did walk in almost. Look at the Crush up front. See, they had a little wham play going there. You see how the lineman pulled out in front? Little whammer going inside. Wildcat touchdown. Good job by the Orange Crush.
So Jordan Hopgood, the freshman from Cincinnati, scores the touchdown, the first of his collegiate career, and it's 28-7 now for the Falcons, and we'll be right back on BCSN. minutes of downtown Bowling Green outside Dwight Perry Stadium. And there is a huge throng out here.
Great crowd, Greg. Great
on campus tonight. And they are seeing an inspired performance by the Bowling Green Falcons. Going back to last year's home opener when a highly touted Troy team came in. Took a 14-0 lead early in the game, and then the Falcons outscored them 31-0 for the remainder of the game. Similar to what we're seeing here tonight. And that ball is out of bounds about the 2-yard line.
You know, Greg, all night we've been talking about in the man area, in the red zone here, the bloody nose area. You run a little wham play, and a wham's getting those big, fat, sweaty guys. See him? See those big, fat, sweaty guys? 52, he's sweating in there, and you follow in behind the whammer. That's called the whammer. Nice job, Orange Crush.
Great job in the backfield, too, as I think every Marshall player thought that ball was going to Eugene Cooper on the end around, and instead Hopgood faked it, went through that gaping hole for the touchdown.
Did you see Tereso get up with the high jump? Man, one of the big, fat, sweaty guys, old Nick, got up in the air there.
All placed on the 40. Marshall with good field position to try to get something out of this final minute. Pass for Dobson.
Yeah.
Forced out of bounds. Well, just a couple of yards shy of midfield. Mentioned Marshall, except for that one play, has been totally stymied. There it is. More than half of their offensive output there on that touchdown run. 28 other plays, netting them only 46 yards. Anderson trying to increase that figure, and does as he hits Chuck Walker for the first down.
Falcons are in the prevent. You know what the prevent prevents sometimes. But you can't play too soft here. If you give Marshall a score here in the 43 seconds that are left, you offset a little bit of that last touchdown. And Brian Anderson has been treated unfairly tonight. The Falcon defense has been great. He's had a receiver fall down for a pick. He's had a ball go through his tight end's hands for a pick. He's a good, steady, solid quarterback, and I look for him to play better.
Falcons were showing blitz there. They came with the pressure. Dobson caught the ball on the 27. One thing the Falcons had trouble with early in the season was actually having the ball thrown over them. And they have been trying not to allow that today. The last week's game, Tulsa, 22 plays gained at least 10 yards. 2 of those big plays went for touchdowns, and Troy had 15 plays covering 10 yards. They have not allowed anything resembling that here. They don't want to allow it to happen here in this last drive. Anderson up the middle, and that one was double and triple caught. Still could not be clamped by Walker, and finally the pass drops incomplete.
Well, Brian Anderson threw it right on the money. Actually, he threw, watch this, Brian throws it ahead of the break. See, he threw it before the receiver actually even turned around. He threw it very well. He's a good, solid quarterback. Got to catch that ball. Help your friendly quarterback out.
3rd and 1. Delivered that ball right to numbers.
Yep. You got a smoke route up at the top.
Here goes Booker again, breaking through a flag down. However, he got the first down yards, but may be coming back. And this would certainly.
Well, the Marshall guys are pointing at the Falcons, so there you go, and Brian's moving them up, I think.
That's good fortune for Marshall.
Now you got a smoke route up on the top of the screen. That can be an automatic check down. If Brian looks at the top.
Number 42. The penalty is refused. The result of the play is a first down.
7, 8, 9, and he can get out of bounds.
Line that penalty, get the first down run. That certainly could have undermined their drive had that penalty gone the other way. Once again, the Falcons coming with pressure. They pick it up, however. Anderson out to Dobson, and he got shucked out of bounds by Ryland Ward rather heavily, but not before they pick up another chunk of yard.
The old Dauber, number 3, Dobson, he is a good receiver. There's a little turnout on the chains, get out of bounds. Now, Brian Anderson, this is a heady, senior, 5th-year guy kind of drive. He's taking what the defense has given him. He's not panicking with 22 seconds. An excellent drive.
Not a real dynamic quarterback like a Byron Leftwich was for Marshall, but he is very steady. That pass intended for Dobson, but double covered there in the end zone by Morgan and Fells.
Now Brian would want, when he goes in the film room with Doc Holliday, they're going to look at that and they'll splice that out. That was a mistake. Brian threw into double coverage there. He tried to force it into Dobson. The Falcons had him inside and out. And what Brian needs to do when he sees that receiver double covered, he wasn't pressured, go to the next guy. Check the next guy.
3rd and 4. Marshall really could use a touchdown. Missed a field goal on this drive. Again, the Falcons coming with pressure and angled it out to Dobson for the first down. But I think Bowling Green really heard you. That's the 3rd time they've come with serious pressure here in this drive.
And Brian read it and did the little turnout on the sideline. Dobson, an excellent receiver. They got twins to both sides here. You see him a little breakout, that was a little Canadian stack there from the Canadian Football League. Really nice scheme. Canadian stack. One guy went deep, the other guy cut it inside.
Dobson's been a real key in this drive. 1st and goal from the 9. Here's where the going gets tough. Swing it out to Booker. Corner him at the 5. And the clock stops with 6.8 seconds remaining.
Now Booker made a little bit of a mistake there, and he's played great tonight. Catch the swing and get out of bounds. I know what he was thinking. I'm going to try and deke and get in the end zone. Watch this. Little pro swing here out to the side. Booker's a great athlete. Now, see, he tried to deke and get in, but get out of bounds. Get out of bounds would have saved himself a few more seconds. With 6.8, you're going to get a couple shots into the end zone.
You have to burn a timeout there.
Yeah, you're going to get 2-3 shots into the end zone. But it's been an excellent drive, Greg, by the Thundering Herd. Give these guys credit. Hey, they've been in the shoe against Ohio State, 1-2 team in the country. West Virginia, tremendous team, and now they're here playing the Falcons on this great home opener with 22,000 people here. They really are a good football team.
Take a look at what they have upcoming. In fact, even after Ohio State and West Virginia, they face 5 more teams that played postseason bowl games, including Bowling Green and former MACBO Ohio. They're going to be playing Ohio. Signed an agreement with them for a lot of future meetings. And there is the rest of the schedule. Conference USA. 2nd down and 6. But much time to run many more plays. They go to the back of the end zone. The ball is caught for a touchdown.
It's a touchdown.
Great job there, and Tavius Wilson hauled it in for the score.
Well, the striper was right on it. Great throw by Brian Anderson. And I think the receiver didn't have the opportunity to get his feet down. I think the Falcon pushed him out. But take a look.
And he did
get one down. He got one down in there. Wow, that's an athletic play. He did get one down. Watch this. So he gets the one down right there. Great camera shot, guys. He did get it down. That is very athletic. And some of the Falcon fans are booing, but Stripers made a great call. He got it down.
And regardless, his foot was in bounds anyway. And the extra point is good. Less than a second to go in the half. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on BCSN.
News and updates. Download.
Impressive drive there from Marshall. We mentioned at the start there was less than a minute to go when they started on the 40-yard line. Bowling Green gave some shorter gains, dropping back defensively, but then after that they started coming with pressure on 3 different occasions. They blitzed, but each time Anderson, a wily veteran, read it, and they continued to get those small hunks of yardage, and then the great catch by the receiver in the end zone, Antavius Wilson.
Credit Marshall. That was a class drive, a character drive. Now they're back in this thing again, and Brian Anderson, nice senior work.
Onside kick. They better be careful. Keith Morgan picked up one of those against Akron last year and ran it back for a touchdown, but didn't happen this time. And the first half is over as Lewis Park's got a chance to field the ball there. So a great half for the Bowling Green Falcons, but Marshall leaves the field in maybe a little bit better position than it could have been for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to hear from Coach Clausen in a minute with Kevin and to see what he's got to say. I think he's going to be happy, but he's not going to like the letdown on the prevent. I think that's going to be something that's going to steam him up a little bit.
Well, when you have a 3-touchdown cushion with less than a minute to go, you certainly like to leave the field with no worse than that. But as you said, you credit that Marshall offense. That was really a very classy drive in the way they just simply maneuvered that ball down the field in a very calm and collected manner, reading various types of defensive schemes, and ended up getting 6 points and then the conversion to make it a 2-touchdown game. And now let's go down to the sideline. Kevin Breckmacher standing by with Coach Dave Clausen of the Falcons.
Thanks, guys. We're with Coach Clausen. Coach, pretty good first half except for that last drive. What did you like the best about your team in the first half?
Well, just we generated turnovers and we got points off of turnovers, and really that's the difference in the game right now.
What's been the difference in the offense? You seem to be clicking very well tonight. Pretty much on all your drives, you guys have moved the football very well.
No, I think our offensive line's doing a nice job protecting. We're getting a little bit of time back there. We've mixed up some runs. We've had decent balance, and we haven't turned the football over.
Being a lifelong BG fan, talk about the atmosphere here tonight. Great crowd. The students are out here. You got to love this.
It's awesome. It's what you want for a home opener.
All right. Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Send it back up to you guys, Greg.
Absolutely, no question about it. One of the great atmospheres that has been seen here at Joyce Perry Stadium. 28-14 Bowling Green over Marshall. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back on BCSN.
The Falcons' Michael Turner put on a clinic last night.
Michael Turner led the way, scoring 3 touchdowns last night.
You can always count on Turner. On the ground, in the air.
I have Michael Turner on line 2.
Tell whoever it is that's hilarious.
He said you'd say that?
Dude, it's only week 1. Talk to me in December.
ESPN Fantasy Football. Sign up for free at ESPN.com.
Gonna try an old sand trap shot here. A little more dirt than ball.
That looked like a slice to me. You need to bend your knees a little more. Keep your head down.
I am wearing a spacesuit.
Just trying to help.
One more. Miles and miles and miles.
There you go. Regular Chichi Rodriguez.
Hi, I'm Reese Davis. This year, there's a new award for supremacy in college sports. The Capital One Cup goes to the best Division I men's and women's athletics programs for their on-field performance. The journey for the Capital One Cup begins this fall. Go to CapitalOneCup.com.
The ESPN3.com College Football Halftime Report is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Welcome to ESPN3.com's Halftime Report presented by Capital One. I'm Cassidy Hubbard alongside Christian Fourier. We'll get you back out to the second half in a few minutes. But first, the story that has been dominating the headlines all week. Reggie Bush forfeited the Heisman Trophy on Tuesday, and on Thursday he spoke to the media at the Saints practice.
It's definitely not a mission of guilt. It's just, for me, it's like I said, it's me showing my respect to the Heisman, the trophy itself. And the ultimate decision was just because I felt like it was the most respectable thing to do and the best thing to do for this time being right now. And you know, just out of respect for all the people who came before me, who won the Heisman before me, and the people who come after me. I don't try to think about, you know, being the first person to you know, give it back or whatever it is. You know, I just try to think about, hey, you know what, despite all things, despite what anybody may say, you know, this is what I feel like is the best decision. Because at the end of the day, I got to live my life.
Christian, what's your initial reaction to why Reggie Bush forfeited the Heisman?
You know what, after watching that, my initial reaction is, if it's not an admission of guilt,
then why even giving it back? And my second reaction is, well, geez, the posse must have been, circled the house and said, listen, come out with your hands up and bring the Heisman Trophy or we're going to take it away. That's what my reaction was. I think he did the right thing regardless of what I personally feel, as far as, what he said is, being the respectable thing to give it back. But my initial reaction is somebody was, coming to get it anyways.
Well, the Heisman Trust announced Wednesday that they would leave the 2005 Heisman vacated, meaning runner-up Vince Young will not receive the award. He tweeted this after he heard Bush forfeited the Heisman. Just heard about Reggie's Heisman. Reg will continue to be the 2005 recipient, and I will continue to be honored to have been in the 2005 Heisman campaign with such a talented athlete. Christian, what do you think of the Heisman Trust decision to leave the Heisman vacated?
Everybody's saying the right thing. Reggie Bush is, Vince Young is. I think of it as IOC, and you see the Olympics, they always give the second place person the medal. But I'm going to the beauty pageant scenario where the runner-up, regardless of whatever happens to the winner of the beauty pageant, the queen, as you say, takes over the scepter and rules for the year. I think they should give it to Vince Young. Now, I don't think he wants it, but I know he'll take it.
Well, this is the first time in the 75-year history of the Heisman Trophy that a recipient has returned the award. How do you think this is going to affect Reggie Bush's legacy?
It's a shame because he had such a great career and he's continuing to play great football in the pros with the Saints. But this follows you everywhere. I don't care where you go or what you do after you play football, when you die, whatever. You are going to have this little blurb on your name forever. Reggie Bush, Super Bowl champion, ex-Heisman Trophy winner. Oh, geez, what happened? Well, let me Google it. It's unfortunate because he's really done a lot, but it's just one of these things that you can never shake regardless of what you do the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to kind of deal with the fact that he'll always have that asterisk by his name. Well, one young man who has catapulted his way to the top of the Heisman talk for this season is Michigan quarterback Denard Robinson. His play last Saturday is our Capital One Cup Impact Performance of the Week, even striking the Heisman pose as he recorded over 500 total yards of offense in last week's win over Notre Dame. Remember to tune in tonight to College Football Final to find out what the Capital One Cup Impact performances are from today's games. Then log on to ESPN.com/Capital One Cup to make your vote. After the break, we'll take a look at the day's actions. Who shined and who walked away disappointed. Stick around.
This is Erica. Last year, she started a pastry business from her small apartment. Problem is, she doesn't have a car. For months, Erica's been saving to buy a new Toyota Corolla.
The Corolla, it's reliable, which I love.
So we decided to surprise her.
We're giving you this new Toyota Corolla.
To see Erica's surprise and share your Toyota story, go to facebook.com/Toyota.
Hey, welcome to Sports Nation on ESPN3.com, brought to you by, of course, Toyota. I'm Colin Coward, your affable host. This week's question is, who is the Toyota Quality Performer of the Week? All right, you got Bryce Bell, Jared Johnson. I like that Denard Robinson guy from Michigan. Landry Jones at Oklahoma was better than I thought against Florida State. All right, what do we got? Come on, give me a winner. Come on, there we go. Denard Robinson at Michigan. It'd be nice if they had one other good player on the team, but, that's how it works. Thanks for voting in this week's poll. Stay tuned throughout the season and help vote for Toyota's quality team, which will be revealed at the end of the year.
Welcome back. Let's get straight to the action. Number 12, Arkansas visiting Georgia without A.J. Green. First quarter, Georgia goes for it on 4th and goal. Aaron Murray fakes the handoff and goes in for the score.
Great block by his tight end. Great job by Aaron Murray running it in there.
Third quarter, Arkansas up 17-10. Ryan Mallett, play action, finds Ronnie Wingo for the 22-yard touchdown.
Finds him wide open because he did a great job of setting his feet and get rid of it, even though we had somebody barreling down on him.
Fourth quarter, Georgia down 7. Washout Ely punches it in from 3 yards out, tying the game at 24. Arkansas with the ball now, under 30 seconds left. Game still tied at 24. Ryan Mallett gets it to Greg Childs.
Terrible blocking by Georgia. They need to
slow down, compose themselves, and wrap this guy up, or else they actually had a chance.
Arkansas now with the lead 31-24. Last play for Georgia. Aaron Murray, desperation time, throws the Hail Mary and airs it out, and the ball is tipped in the end zone.
Tipped in the end zone by the Arkansas, who actually almost knocked it into the hands of the Georgia, but luckily for them, it fell to the floor.
Arkansas holds on to win it 31-24. Rich Rod in Michigan back at the Big House hosting UMass. Second quarter, Michigan down 10. Denard Robinson with a short pass to Daryl Stoneham, and he's off.
He's off because he's always getting good block on that Michigan O-line. Great job cut blocking, great job running after the catch.
A 66-yard touchdown run, Michigan down 17-14. 45 seconds later, Denard Robinson finds Stoneham again.
This was a great job by Michigan. Second quarter, right before the half, put another touchdown on the board.
They would take the lead 21-17 into the half. Third quarter, Michael Shaw takes the handoff, goes right up the gut, and is gone. 34 yards for the touchdown. He had a career-high 126-yard rushing and 3 touchdowns on the day. Later, Denard Robinson gets it going himself, fakes the handoff, and takes it in 8 yards for the score. Robinson accounted for over 340 yards and 3 touchdowns.
340, that's it? 340?
As Michigan goes on to win 42-37. Number 18, USC and Minnesota meeting for the first time in 30 years. Trojans trailing 14-13 in the third. Robert Woods on the return, and he sees a lot of green in front of him.
Highly touted freshman recruit out of California. This was a huge play for USC. Minnesota had just gone up by a point. They come back and score. That's got to hurt Minnesota.
Fourth quarter, USC up 5. Matt Barkley fires to the end zone, finding David Osbury.
This is a great throw by Matt Barkley. This kid's still a sophomore. Nice pass, back shoulder through where only he could catch it.
That's his 9 TD pass on the year. Later in the fourth, USC up 26-14. Allen Bradford rushes up 56 yards for the touchdown.
Great play by USC. They struggled a little bit in the beginning, but they finished this game. It's just what they needed to do.
USC wins 32-21 and moves to 3-0. Coming up, what if the head coach of your team addressed the crowd apologizing for their play after the game? Sounds strange, huh? Well, it happened. We'll show you after the break.
I love Dr. Pepper. The taste of these 23 flavors can never be equaled, like me.
Hey, what, man? Come on, Mike, man. Nice hit.
There's nothing like a pepper. Trust me, I've sent people to the doctor.
Hey, students. Dr. Lou here with a little pop quiz for you. These days, college tuition is A, pretty affordable, B, a little bit pricey, C, more expensive than a private island in the Caribbean. Bingo! College is pretty darn expensive. Luckily, Dr. Pepper's got you covered with a Dr. Pepper $1 million tuition giveaway. Visit drpepper.com and upload a video telling us why you deserve a chance to win. It couldn't be easier. Each week, Dr. Pepper will give students tuition money for the most thoughtful, compelling, enthusiastic, and entertaining videos submitted. So to review, students, go to drpepper.com, upload your video, and enter the Dr. Pepper $1 million tuition giveaway. If old Dr. Lou here likes what he sees, you could win big. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
We'll get better. That's the only thing I can tell you. We can't get any further down than tonight. But I promise you, there's a lot of fight in this football team, and we'll find a way to come back next Saturday night and play much better. That's all I can promise.
That's UCLA head coach Rick Neuheisel after last week's 35-0 loss to Stanford, apologizing to the crowd for their poor performance. Christian, how would you react if your coach were apologizing to the crowd for your play?
You know, I don't know why that makes me laugh, because as a player, I think of it two different ways. I think of it as a player. First thing I'm saying to myself is, man, coach is embarrassed. We embarrassed coach today. And the other thing I'm thinking as a player is, man, we are going to get our butts worked over during the week so we don't embarrass ourselves and him. But as a fan, I'm thinking to myself, man, just win a game. You want to apologize to me? Go out and win the next game. So, you know, I think he's kind of felt like he had to do it. But as a coach, do your talking and your apologizing on the field. Wait a week, beat Houston, and then everybody's happy.
Yeah, you're dealing with young kids here. I wonder how he has divided his locker room here, and if it's really going to, be an incentive to win the next game. So very interesting move by Rick Neuheisel. That's all the time we have on ESPN3.com's halftime report presented by Capital One. Make sure to tune in to college football finals. See this week's Capital One Cup Impact Performance nominees. I'm Cassidy Alberth. He's Christian Fourier. Let's send you back out to the second half.
ESPN3.com is your online home for live coverage of top international soccer all season long. Watch matches from the Barclays Premier League, Spanish Primera Division, Italian Serie A, German Bundesliga, and more, all live on your computer. Multiple viewing modes let you choose picture-in-picture or watch 4 matches at the same time. Plus, connect with other fans on Facebook without leaving the action. Log on today to watch top international soccer all season long with ESPN3.com.
Hey, there he is, the machine. What are you talking about?
That's what they call you, right? Machine?
I'm not a machine. Not a machine? The machine, right? Guys. I'm not a machine, okay? I'm just Albert.
Whatever.
Not a machine.
Why didn't you eliminate them, Albert?
Shut up.
Texas and Texas Tech. Texas, they throw an interception. On the next play, Texas Tech throws an interception. Texas has the ball back. They lead 14-0 with 3:21 left to play in the first quarter. I mentioned Notre Dame over Michigan State. That game's still in the first quarter, 5:28 left to play in that first quarter. That one, Notre Dame leading by a count of 7-0. You heard what Terrell Pryor had to do because Jim Tressel apparently forgot about the running game as Ohio State beat Ohio by a count of 43-7. You look at Terrell Pryor's stats, 23 of 30. Point he completed 16 passes. He attempted 16 passes in a row. Jim Tressel, OSU head coach. What gives, Senator?
Well, it's hard to make 16 in a row since I guess no one ever did it. Or is this a tie? This is a record? Yeah, so it must be hard to do. We've been throwing the ball all over the place at Ohio State for a lot of years.
The Marshall Thundering Herd, Bowling Green leading by a score of 28-14 at the half, and certainly Bowling Green was full value for that 2-touchdown lead. In fact, it could have been and even was more until that late Marshall drive. First half highlights, Marshall came out full of confidence, especially after their performance last week against West Virginia, but the Falcons really took over the game early here. Got that quick touchdown to Kamar Jordan, and from then on, they really seemed to build momentum. It was just the one big play by Booker and then the drive at the end. But other than that, the Falcons were all over the Thundering Herd. The interception there by Dwayne Woods. Thought he was going to run out of gas here about the 30-yard line, but he decided, hey, I might as well just keep going full speed ahead.
Dwayne was shifting gears there. He was going for a little more traction, that's all.
And then the next interception was by Javon Leacock, and this really appeared to be a crusher. Looked like he might even take that back all the way. Was stopped, but the Falcons turned that into a score. And at that point, it looked like it was on the verge of a rout as Shills sneaked it over from the 1-yard line.
Yep, our center, Mr. Keith Russell, kind of dig it out block and got him in there.
Andre Booker, look at this speed as he just outran the Falcons secondary, as you pointed out. Even though they had the angle on the pursuit, he still outran them.
You outrun the angle, you're fast.
He's certainly qualified for that designation. There is Hopgood's touchdown. Great play up front, great faking in the backfield, and then the culmination of the touchdown drive for Marshall with this great catch. Morgan was all over. In fact, that was Ryland was all over Antavius Wilson, but he still was able to bring it in for the score. And the numbers there, actually, look at that. Marshall leading in the total yards. Of course, that one big 68-yard run, a major part of that. But nonetheless, look at the rushing yardage, too. Marshall is much closer into this game than you would think. They were down 28-7 with a few seconds left in the first half.
Well, it really jumps out, Greg. You look at the 2 turnovers. The turnovers were excruciating for Marshall. The receiver falls down. The tight end lets the ball go through his hands. If you eliminate those 2 turnovers, then it'd be a little different deal.
And it might just be a different deal in the second half unless the Falcons come out with the same kind of intensity and execution that they showed for so much of that opening half. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on BCSN.
Reggie Bush wound up winning it.
TV or call 419.
Who is your leader in the clubhouse regarding the Heisman Trophy? Text us at 7ESPN 73776. By the way, the ESPN radio app is now available for Android phones, and for a limited time, it's only $2.99. So if you have one, you can now download the #1 selling sports app and listen live to ESPN radio, including 17 stations across the country, nearly 40 podcasts, or on-demand Sports Center updates. Visit the marketplace on your Android phone before midnight, September 12th, to take advantage of this special offer. With Mel Kiper Jr., I am Freddie Coleman. It's college football tonight. Apparently, they can't stand prosperity, or they can't throw the football to somebody they're intending to throw the football to in Texas Tech game. Let's find out what that happened with the scoreboard and Mike Bellamy.
All right, Freddie, thank you. Texas Tech has turned the football over twice, resulting in a touchdown for Texas. The number 6 team in the country leads 14-0 at this particular time. But now Texas Tech turns the tables and gets a touchdown off a pick themselves. Right now the score is 14-6, extra point pending. Texas leads. Number 3, Boise State leads Wyoming 17-0 in the first quarter. Number 5, Oregon. I think they're going to coast to a victory over Portland.
This BCSN production is brought to you by Appliance Center, by local Pay Less at Appliance Center. York Automotive, just what you're looking for. TAS Electronics, your car stereo and electronics superstore. And by the Andersons, more for your home.
Back at Dwight Perry Stadium, teams back on the field. Falcons with a 28-14 lead over Marshall. And I would say the early going in this third quarter is going to be very important to try to establish the tenor of the rest of the game here. Will the Falcons be able to go back to having the upper hand, or will Marshall gain momentum from that late drive?
Get a good look at the outstanding coach at Bowling Green, Coach Clausen. But you coach to finish games, Greg. That's what you talk about it during spring ball. You talk about it during double sessions in the summer. It's finishing. Starting's one thing, but the big thing in football is how you finish the game. So he's going to say, hey, we're not done. We've had a nice half, but now we got to finish this thing and put together a good second half if we want to be a championship contender in the MAC.
Well, before the game, we had a presentation that we were able to make. Our general manager at BCSN, Veronica Pinciotti, presented the Ohio Cable Award that BCSN acquired last year to Greg Christopher, the athletic director of Bowling Green State University, that night of the Boise State game, which was a very memorable night here at Dwight Perry Stadium. It was our pleasure to present it to the athletic director.
That's Mr. Christopher's extremely attractive young daughter who was following dad around on game day, which is very cool.
Maybe she'll have a nice trophy for her room.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hey, credit, Falcons have been, you've been mentioning, quick to the step all night tonight. Fast on defense, fast on offense. They played fast, they played smart, they've been opportunistic. But credit this Marshall team, I'll tell you. They could have gotten in the bus after the last one that the Falcons put up and said, hey, we're just going home and calling it a day. They got a lot of fight. They're a class organization. They got a lot of talent, a tremendous football tradition and history, and we're proud to have them on our BCSN network.
Talked to Chris Bergeron, the hockey coach at halftime. In hockey parlance, the Falcons have had the jump tonight. We'll see whether that continues in the second half. The kickoff fielded by Andre Booker, and he's the kind of guy that could turn this into a one-touchdown game in one play, just the way he scored that first one, but they got him at the 27-yard line. Here's a look at Marshall in the first half. Totally anemic on offense, except for that one run by Booker until the last drive, and then they really figured out a way to get it done, although the Falcons were sagging off of them early in that drive. When they started bringing the pressure in the final drive, Marshall still undaunted, and they worked it into the end zone.
Well, I think Doc Holliday and his fine staff will figure out more ways as this season goes along, Greg, to get Booker touches. Booker's an explosive guy, and you got to find more ways to get him out on the edge and get him touches.
Ryan Anderson back on the field as Eddie Sullivan came on for him in the first half, but he engineered that touchdown drive at the end of the first and now swings a pass out to Aaron Dobson. I think you look back at the Falcons defensively at the end of that half, too. You got to credit them. Even though Marshall scored, you have to certainly give them plaudits for it, but the Falcons changing up their defensive scheme, realizing they had to do something besides sagging off, and they made Marshall earn that touchdown. Here's a pass again completed And that one is caught on the 43-yard line for a Marshall first down. Chuck Walker on the grab.
Well, the Falcons defensively have been what we call ball hawking, Greg. They've been attacking the ball, and that's that usually turns out pretty well for you defensively. They're quick to the ball.
First down, Marshall. Hand off, and there was very good penetration by Jerry Boo Boo Gates as he cut down the runner right at the line of scrimmage there. No running room at all to come by for Martin Ward. Pass out on the left, and there is some running room for Walker after the catch as he slithers away from the defender's clutches and gets a first down in Falcon territory.
I'll tell you what, Greg, the Falcon defense is going to have to go back to trying to put some pressure on Brian Anderson. This little just sit-down hitch here in the open area. But Brian, they're not getting any pressure on him. And Brian Anderson, like a fifth-year senior, is just standing back there and playing catch in the backyard.
Calvin Marshall after the catch. Here's a play action down the field, left side, and a flag thrown.
Yep, interference. Great call by the striper, Greg. They had a go route on the sideline. A go route on the sideline. The Falcon defender was beat, put his hands, you know, it's kind of instinctive almost when a DB's beat. They kind of reach up like a New York traffic cop and try and grab you. And that's what he did. The striper was right there and made a great call. Watch this. Brian Anderson puts it up there right where it needs to be. A go sideline, and see him grab the jersey right there. Great camera shot, guys, right on top of it. And the striper calls it. Watch, here's an inside view of it. There's the jersey pole right there. And yeah, and old Dauber's going, come on, give it to me, and they got it.
As Cameron Truss called for that, and then he came back and unloaded on Aaron Ward. He had another player, Rylan Ward, wearing number 30, and Falcons not sporting the names on the back of the jerseys. Two defensive backs there, but that was Cameron Truss.
Yeah, and the Falcons are, you know, they're going to have to put a little pressure on Brian Anderson because unencumbered in the pocket, he'll sit back there and he'll complete him. So I look for him to try and put a little pressure and break up this rhythm that he's got.
2nd and 10. Anderson sweeps it out, and very little to come by there as the pass caught by Troy Evans, but he was immediately double teamed and stopped at the 25.
You know, Greg, one weakness in the college game, it's a great game, but one weakness is the pass interference call. You know, they march off the penalty, but really, you know, that would have been a touchdown. In the NFL, they spot it right where it would be. In the college game, probably would be a little bit better game if they had the same rule.
Boo Boo Gates, 24. He was a first-team All-Skater from Middletown, a power. Dayton area. There's a pass, and that was incomplete as, once again, Falcons just had Troy Evans blanketed as Keith Morgan and Cameron Truss combined on the coverage.
Well, this is a big-time throw by Brian Anderson. That's a seam post with inside-outside coverage, but you know what? Even though Brian forced it in there, it was there. That's got to be caught. I mean, that is put right on the money, but he shot it in there. It was a great throw by Brian Anderson.
Keith Morgan, 32, is the MAC East Defensive Player of the Week. Had 11 tackles in the opening week against Troy. And they block the field goal attempt. Javon Leacock comes up with it and tried to return the ball. He got it out to the 14-yard line, but the Falcons first stopped the Marshall drive and then blocked the field goal, and that could go a long way towards swinging that pendulum back in their direction.
Well, you know what? The kicker is back too far. You know, those steps are patterned out. That kicker's back too deep. That should be a one step, a hop, and a kick, and he's back 2.5 steps. That took too long to develop.
Truss was unhappy, a little ornery after that pass interference call. He started hitting everyone that moved and then blocked the field goal. He certainly made up for that call in spades.
So much of football today, Greg, is special teams and turnovers, and those are a couple things that have hampered a very fine Thundering Herd team.
.50 to go in the third quarter. The Falcons a huge stop there to keep Marshall from really creeping back into contention. There's a pass on the slant pattern for about 5 yards. Bowling Green, as we'll see, compared to what we saw with Marshall, they were much more effective driving the ball in the first half for the most part.
Yep.
3 touchdowns out of that. Marshall got 2 touchdowns, but just on the one big play and then the one drive at the end.
What's most impressive, Shills has been extraordinarily impressive. KJ's come as advertised, but the pace at which Bowling Green is playing, they're playing fast offensively and they're playing fast defensively, and that is impressive.
Once again, Shills swings the pass out, and it is complete to number 44, Nick Reiki, Falcon tight end.
Nick looks a little bit like a refrigerator with a head. We got to start using him a little bit more. He's a big guy.
He had 2 receptions, 18 yards coming into this. Has been a very key special teams player. He's an all-conference quarterback as a junior and senior in high school. That is Crystal Lake South team to the state quarters and semis in 2 consecutive years. Filling in for the touchdown maker Jimmy Scheidler in past years. There's a swing pass out to Kamar Jordan, and just before he revved into the open field, he was knocked over, but he continues to add to his reception totals as the tackle was made on there by Donald Brown.
Well, what the Falcons need to do, this is just a quick hitch to KJ. Quick sideline hitch. What Marshall needs to do is they need to roll the zone to KJ. In other words, roll the corner up on him and bring safety over the top. He just has too much room to roam around. It's they can't leave him unencumbered out there.
That tackle really was laid on by Brown, as you saw in that replay. Here's Willie Jeter, cramped up earlier in the half, and he's now back out. None the worse for wear.
So you see a pattern.
First down.
Greg, you see a pattern and a rhythm with the Falcons now. They're throwing short underneath passes extremely effectively. Shills is a very accurate thrower. The Big Orange Crush is blocking for him. And then Jeter can get you some tough yards inside. And then when they start to squat on the routes, you go deep to the very speedy Falcon receiver. It's a nice mix. It's a really nice mix offensively tonight.
Excellent ball control drive for the Falcons. They started on their own 14 and they've nearly reached their own 40. Jeter looked like he was just engulfed in the backfield. The next thing you know, squirted out for a 6-yard gain.
See, those plays are so huge for Bowling Green. To get Shills underneath the center, have a couple beef eaters at tight end, and run Jeter up inside, because you need, football comes down to some point in the game when you got to man it up and take it tough between the tackles. And Bowling Green's doing a lot more of that this year, which will help them when they get into the MAC, and it'll help them when they get in bad weather, Greg.
Hopefully that won't be for a little while yet.
Yeah, we get the windows open. Things are good tonight.
Shills alone in the backfield. And they are on him almost as soon as he received the football. And he is down for a loss of 7 on the play.
Credit to Hurd. Good defensive call. They brought pressure. And again, you know, Matt Shills, watch this. Matt Shills, they brought a lot of pressure. Matt Shills is in a rhythm, and the only way you disrupt the quarterback's rhythm is send pressure up the middle and get in his face. Just what the Herd did, very effective. The Herd's down people are impressive tonight.
Mario was a guided torpedo there.
Yeah, Super Mario, I think.
Shills again is being rushed, and again Mario Harvey topples him in the backfield, and the Falcon drive is over with an exclamation point, and Super Mario just strutting off the field after he struts his stuff out there.
I mean, you have a linebacker, Super Mario's, you have a linebacker that was a real 4.340. You know, that's incredible. I mean, it just, that's Deion Sanders' speed. That's
normally you want to isolate a receiver on a linebacker. Yeah. Him, that might not be an advantage.
That's amazing speed.
The only drawback for him is he's a little short. He's 6 feet tall, but you know what? I think I'd overlook that.
He doesn't play like it.
It was a fine drive punt. They had all kinds of pressure on Brian Wright. Fielded possibly some running room here, but the Falcons, with excellent pursuit, ground Jermaine Kelson on the 28-yard line, and you see very good coverage there as Stephen Dunlap got down the field.
Well, great contain on the special team. Great contain on the special team.
Now when you can move from the bleachers to the huddle all this season on Inside the Red Zone on BCSN. From Weekend Warrior to Mike's play-by-play, IRZ is your ticket to Northwest Ohio football every Wednesday at 6 p.m. only on BCSN and the Buckeye cable system. 8:32 remaining. And we mentioned earlier that the 1985 Bowling Green State University football team that went undefeated during the regular season and won the MAC championship, played in the California Bowl that year, was being honored, and they are all down in the south end zone. And a lot of familiar faces. Brian McClure, many still consider him the greatest quarterback in the history of Bowling Green State University. Played in a much different era than we saw, for example, with Tyler Sheehan.
But McClure was a great quarterback, tremendous quarterback. Great touch on the ball, throw the ball long. He was accurate underneath. If he would be playing in today's offenses with the ability to spread and throw as much as they do, the numbers that he would have put on the board would have been astronomical.
They lost to Fresno State 51-7 in the California Bowl, but Denny Stoltz, their head coach, had just accepted the job at Michigan State. And so there was real dislocation with the Falcon team. And a lot of people thought that affected their preparation for that bowl game. Nonetheless, it's really, truly outstanding year. Now, Marshall takes over on the 30-yard line. Derek White was another great Falcon quarterback, 2 years in a row, MVP in the MAC. Ball thrown out of bounds, hard to see on first down, but I would still think the consensus might be that McClure is at the top of the list of Falcon quarterbacks.
Yeah, during that time period, the numbers of well, I think they just recently broke some of the records. I mean, they've lasted for that long in the passing era that they have now. You know what's interesting with Marshall? They're calling the plays from the sideline. Brian's getting them from the offensive coordinator. But some of the receivers, a couple of the receivers are calling them from the outside in. They're signaling to the quarterback what they want to run. It's kind of an effective way to do that.
Over the top again, and that one is thrown away.
And by that, I mean the wide receiver's out there. He'll look into the quarterback, and he'll, with a hand gesture, put up a finger or point into his helmet or to his face mask. All those things can be different routes. And I always thought the receiver on the outside could tell best what he could run against the defense better than the quarterback because of the depth perception.
It's 2 plays that they have just thrown the ball. Dying quails into the Falcon pitch.
Well, better to throw it away than make a mistake, right?
Well, that's a much better delivered ball as Tavius Wilson takes it out near midfield.
Well, that's a skinny post, Greg, and Brian Anderson, let's give him some credit for the Thundering Herd. This is a senior quarterback that has really composed himself. He had some hard luck in the first half. Skinny post, put it right on the money. He has thrown the ball very well.
Here's Marshall again, moving the ball with a chance to get within a touchdown pass. That one caught by Chuck Walker. Boo Gates was all over him trying to steal the ball away. But he wasn't quite able to.
What Marshall's setting the Falcons up for, Greg, they're throwing a lot of short stuff underneath. The Falcons are squatting on the routes, which means they're coming up and attacking the routes. What you have to do is run a double move then. You got to pump the hitch, pump the sideline, and send somebody deep. And that, I think, is what they're setting the Falcons up for.
Falcon player is down.
Looks like another cramp, Greg.
Jarris Campbell.
It was warm down on the field before the ball game when we were down there. It was a great night, but it was very warm, and great night for football.
It just started to have more autumn-like weather start to set in, and then we kind of move back to Indian summer. And you see out attending to Jarris Campbell right here.
Yeah, he's all right.
Looks like he'll be okay. So timeout on the field here.
And what happens, Greg, when you start cramping up, it keeps happening. You can't stop it during the game. You can, you can drink as much water as you want and try and hydrate yourself, but you can't hydrate yourself during the game. So once it starts occurring, it's difficult to stop.
Coach Clausen having a word with the official. Let's take a break and we'll be right back on BCSN. 35-yard line before Javon Leacock stopped him, and the Thundering Herd thundering back into contention here.
AB is what we call a gash player. A gash player is a guy that rips off big chunks of yardage, and I think Marshall's got a scheme to get Books a few more looks.
Get Books some looks. I like that. And they complete that pass to Troy Evans, and they're inside the red zone now.
Greg, you got to credit the Thundering Herd here and the big white wall up front for the Herd and Brian Anderson. These guys could have cashed in the chips and got on the bus and called this a night. And I'll tell you what, it's class by their program. It's class to their coaching staff. They are fighting back into this thing.
Just what West Virginia did to them last week. Pass, and Tavius Wilson inside the 5-yard line before he's stopped by Dwayne Woods. And Marshall very close to the first down yardage. It'll be 2nd and 1. They can still get a first down before scoring, and they are very close to a touchdown that would really get them back into this game. And we're barely halfway through the third quarter with just seconds to go in the half. It was 28-7 Bowling Green.
Brian Anderson has done a terrific job.
There is great moves by Martin Ward trying to find a crevice to the end zone. Marshall players to a man signaling touchdown. Officials have not yet concurred, and it doesn't look like they're going to, but they will give them the first down.
Well, and you know what? We talked about Ward all night. It's man-on-man down here. See, it's a little bit of a wham play. You're bringing some of the big, fat, sweaty guys in front of Ward. I just, you get on the goal line. The only problem with the spread is we get on the goal line, get a real lead blocker in front of that running back, and then he can pick the guy that's in the hole. There's always a guy standing in the hole because the defense fills all the gaps. And it sometimes makes it a little easier to score.
First and goal from the 1. Ward goes nowhere.
See, you got to get. What happens on the goal line is everybody jumps into a gap, and they're not worried about fakes or anything. Their assignment is to get in the gap and to blow. See, watch everybody. Look at all the Falcons blowing into a gap. That's good goal line defense. But Marshall is going to leave blocker in front of that runner so that somebody can pick him up.
Darius Smith said, "No way. Are you ready to pass me that time?" But that time,
Wildcat.
It is a touchdown for A.J. Graham. He sidestepped the defender, and Marshall is back within a single score.
The credit Coach Doc Holliday and his fine staff for the Herd. Little fake to Ward, and look at Graham, little deep move on the Falcon, and the Wildcat scores. Wildcat stuff on the goal line.
A one-possession game, no matter how you slice it, they would just need one touchdown, a two-point conversion, but trying to get it to 7 is A.J. Graham. Probably the bulk of these players come from Florida more than any other state in the class except for West Virginia. And the conversion is good. 28-21, the Falcon lead melting away here. We'll be right back on BCSN. 5:32 to go in the third quarter. Marshall is back to within 7 points of Bowling Green. And all of a sudden, they are the team that is on the rise. And another impressive lengthy drive. 9 plays for 70 yards. Capped by that 1-yard touchdown run by A.J. Graham. And that's 2 impressive drives that they have put together dating back to the end of that first half.
Yeah, well, this speaks volumes to the Marshall program, to their fine coach Doc Holliday and staff and kids, because this game was really tilted in the Falcons' favor. And again, they could have packed up the Marshall bus in the first half and said that's it. But they've fought their way back into this thing. They've clawed their way back in, led by Brian Anderson. I mean, he has thrown the ball extraordinarily effectively at the end of the first half and throughout the second half.
Mindful of the game here at this stadium at the end of the 2008 season. Bowling Green had a 27-7 lead over Buffalo in a game that if they won, they might well have won the MAC East. Buffalo came back and beat them in overtime. Let's go down to the sideline. Kevin Breckmacher with players from that great 1985 Falcon team.
Greg, we're down here on the sidelines with family, the best brother combination ever to play for Bowling Green State University. And in my opinion, I know I'm a little biased here, but the best quarterback in the history of Bowling Green State University. 2 members of the 1985 perfect season, Brian McClure, Bill McClure. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight on BCS. And you guys are here tonight to honor that 85 team. How does it feel to be back at Bowling Green?
It feels great to be back. A lot of guys came from all over the country to come back for this night, and it was good to see some guys I haven't seen in over 20 years.
Now, you were the quarterback, tight end on that 85 team. Bill, what was your favorite memory from 1985?
Catching the final pass of his career down at Ohio University was one of my favorite moments.
Last pass he completed in the regular season was to his brother, Brian. Your favorite memory, maybe a favorite game from 1985?
Probably the Kentucky game where we went down to Kentucky and knocked them off in their stadium and kind of set the tone for the rest of the season. And it was just a great team win, and it was a good bunch of guys. It was a great year.
I would agree, and all the fans were talking trash to the family up there in the upper deck, and you guys came down and beat them in the last 30 seconds of the game. Talk about a little bit some of the quarterbacks we've had at Bowling Green since you. We've had some good ones. Who's your favorite quarterback at Bowling Green since you played?
Well, my kids would say Josh or Omar. Anybody that doesn't beat my records, I'm happy with. So, I only had too many left, but Tyler had a great year last year, and this kid tonight looks pretty good. So, you know, they're all good quarterbacks and a great system here at Bowling Green.
And Bill, how special was it? An undefeated season is special, but to have it with your brother and share it with him the whole year, how special was that for you?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better brother. I mean, catching that pass was great. It was a great season.
All right, pride of Rootstown, Ohio right here. Brian McClure, Bill McClure. Back up to you guys upstairs.
Yeah, really family. Kevin Breckmacher, second cousin of McClure, but he was a quarterback too. But I think Brian got about 99.9% of the talent between those two, which I don't think Kevin would disagree with.
We had a new sequel to All in the Family there, and it was very cool. Kevin did a great job with that interview, and you know, Greg, Brian McClure really was a precursor to what the NFL quarterbacks are today. He was really one of the first 6'5", 6'6" guys that would stand in the pocket and throw over the top and throw over the top of the defense and have touch and be able to throw deep. And he was really a classic example of really what the NFL is today. I mean, they're looking for Brian McClure's today is basically what they're doing.
Look at the quarterbacks the Falcons have gotten.
Quarterback
Jacobs,
you here.
Josh
It's definitely
Harris,
quarterback you.
Tyler Sheehan, mentioned Eric White. Ryan Henry came on after that. He did a great job. Pass out Omar, or I should say Kamar Jordan. Ran a couple of yards from first down. In fact, Ryan Henry came on after Eric White had such a starry career. He just took right over, inherited the mantle, and the Falcon offense went on unabated. And it's almost looking like Matt Shields might do the same thing.
Well, you have to credit the system and the coaching also. I mean, a quarterback is a component of system and coaching and opportunity. Mark Miller's a quarterback we haven't mentioned, and he was a great one at BG also. It is kind of quarterback you. Bowling Green and University of Toledo have put together so many great quarterbacks over the years. They both could lay claim to that.
Played in the NFL, was a great broadcaster for many years for the Falcons on radio as well. Stopped that behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of a yard.
You know, we're getting to a scary point in the game for the Falcons. They've played so well, with so much energy, such a quick step on defense and offense, but Marshall's crawled back into this, and boy, you give him another opportunity. Brian Anderson is throwing the ball so well, that's going to be a problem.
It's almost a total role reversal. The Falcons are the team that has been stymied on offense, and Marshall is the one that's been putting together the sharp-looking drives. Big play at 3rd and 10. Shills fires it downfield. No one in an orange jersey in the vicinity of that ball, and the Falcons will have to punt again.
You know what? It's a great call by the Marshall Thundering Herd defensive coordinator. On that set, Greg, they were in cover 2 man, which meant 2 safeties deep. Nobody gets deep. But then the corners come up and play man on the receivers and take away all the short stuff, all the 8, 9, 10-yard stuff. So it was a great call, cover 2 man, and it kind of took away some openings for the Falcons.
Mirror image, second half of the first. Marshall in the upswing right now. That is down on the 28-yard line, and Marshall will start there. Well, if there's something big going on in Northwest Ohio sports, you can catch it on Press Pass on BCSN every Wednesday at 6:30. Join Dan Cummins and Blade's top sports writers, and they will talk about the stories that are important in Northwest Ohio, available exclusively on the Buckeye cable system. First and 10 Marshall. Now they're looking for an opportunity to tie this ball game up.
Well, you're going to have to start putting some heat on Brian Anderson. You just can't let him stand back there. He's playing playground football right now. He's standing back there and just finding people.
Dumps that one off, and once again, a case where Booker maybe started running before he caught the ball, or maybe he heard some footsteps as Dwayne Woods was coming in hard on him.
Yeah, I think the Falcons, Greg, have to change their philosophy here. He steps up in the pocket. Oh, Books, you got to catch that now. Yeah, you got to catch that ball. Put your head on it and catch it. Because you know what? You're going to get hit anyways. You know, if you're looking around, what difference does it make? Hey, take the ball with you. What the heck? You're going to get labeled there. You're going to get tattooed anyways. Take the ball with you.
Might as well improve your stats.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get waxed, so take the ball.
Booker started left, then turned right, and accelerated out to the 47-yard line.
Well, I tell you, Greg, Books he's a guy that you look at your play selection sheet going into the game and you say, hey, 19 Books, we've got to get him 12 or 14 touches, because when you do, he makes plays. He's a guy you just got to get touches to.
Another Floridian on this squad from Sarasota. Mentioned they got a lot of their players from the Gator State.
Brian Anderson is getting a call from the sideline. That's why it's taking a while. He's looking at the sideline, getting a call, making a line protection call.
Anderson swings a pass out for Antavius Wilson, but he lost it. Cameron Trust him up there.
You know, some of the Marshall wideouts, as good as they are, they've hurt Brian a little bit tonight, Brian Anderson. There have been probably 4 or 5 drops that really passes that are chain movers that should have been caught. And you got to help your quarterback out. It's tough playing that position.
That last Marshall scoring drive, remember, it started very inauspiciously with 2 balls that they threw into the Falcon sidelines.
Yep.
It was 3rd and 10, and then they turned it into a long scoring march of 70 yards. Handed off to Ward, and he, breaking through that first wave of tackles in the secondary, and reaches the Falcon 46-yard line.
Boy, that's a clever call. The Marshall went into a Canadian stack on both sides. 2 receivers stacked up on top of one another on both sides. Looked like they were going to do a little cross action and throw the ball, and they went into a sneaky draw, peekaboo draw. It was very effective.
Booker 19 as opposed to Ward 29. They look very similar from a distance. That one hit someone in the back.
Marshall.
Either Troy Evans or the Falcon defender Woods.
It hit the Marshall.
Like it hit the Marshall receiver.
Brian Anderson hit that. It was like throwing darts. And he hit number 4 for Marshall right on the 4.
So you're going to say again that if he touches it, he had to catch it?
Bam.
Well, actually, he might have been able to catch that ball.
Yeah. But that was a little crowded.
The shoulder pad there.
Yeah, inside and out they kind of had him. Brian might have wanted to pick another guy. In the quarterback position, you've got to train yourself to say, okay, I'm looking at this receiver and they've got him inside out. There's 2 on him. That means somebody else is running free. Then you go to your second look or your third look.
As the next quarterback hits the ball in the back of the helmet, he should have caught it. High, lofting punt that's fielded on the 9-yard line by Eugene Cooper, and the Falcons will go to work 91 yards from the end zone.
Greg, the rule is normally inside the 10, you let it go, but some people might be saying, why didn't Eugene just let that go? But he can't, because this natural surface is so good. It's so much like grass surface. We've seen it happen a number of times. You let it go, it deadens out and drops on the 4 or the 5. So, you got to catch it.
Big stand there by the Falcons defense to prevent Marshall from sweeping into the end zone to go from 28-7 to a tie in less than a quarter of playing time. Now the offense has got to try to recover their first half form here. Chills, though, gets buried. The ball is loose. Marshall is on it at the 1-yard line.
Well, Greg, you cannot credit the Thundering Herd enough here. They were out of this ball game. They fought their way back into it. The big guys up front, watch how they're coming hard in the gaps. Bam! And hopefully that's okay. He took a shot in the back, but you got to credit the Thundering Herd. They blasted through the gaps on that, made a little draw fake, and just Matt had no chance.
Delvin Johnson, one of the experienced defensive linemen on this squad. We mentioned they had some really great ones in Michael Janik and Vinnie Curry, but they've also got some other really strong ones such as Brandon Bullock, Johnny Jones. That's 6 kick blocks this year, and Wilson, there's a touchdown as Martin Ward goes in to tie it up, or at least one extra point away from tying it.
Well, that's the man part of the field down there. When you get down in that goal line area and it's man on man, and who's more man? And Marshall ran a little wham play. They moved one of the big, fat, sweaty guys in front of Ward, and he made something happen.
This conversion can bring the Herd all the way back from a 28-7 deficit to a tie. And it is good. 28-all with 1:01 to go in the third quarter. Let's take a break. Then we'll be right back on BCSN. Well, it looked like the Falcons had stopped Marshall and given the ball back to the offense. Maybe they were going to preserve the lead, but on the first play, they try a play-action pass from their own 9, and Shills might have been shaken up there by that hit.
I can tell you, I've had that happen. That's a shoulder, and what happens on that, it's the Matt Stafford thing. It's not the hit that hurts you. It's when the big, fat, sweaty guy falls on you and drives you into the ground. The torque or the force of that 300-pounder driving you into that turf causes, hopefully not in Matt's case, but some kind of, usually it's a shoulder separation of some kind. Exactly what happened to Matt Stafford. Same thing. It's not the hit. It's when they drive you into the turf. And it's all good legal hit. It's part of the difficulties of playing quarterback. It's called your blind side.
Delvin Johnson, a 6'3", 300-pound junior from Woodruff, South Carolina, made Shields feel it. Look at the points off turnovers. Marshall, their first score on such a play. The Falcons with the 2 interceptions, one for a touchdown, the other long run back. Here's Jeter getting a screen pass. He breaks in the open. He can fly. He's got 2 blockers with him, and he is stopped at the 18-yard line. Just as it looked like he was going to soar into the end zone. Darrell Roberts, a touchdown-saving tackle, still a huge play for the Falcons. New quarterback into the game. That was Aaron Pankratz, who got some action in last year, and he gets the Falcons going. Jeter just flying down the right sideline. I really thought he was going to take it all the way.
That was a good tackle by the Marshall defender, 39. But that's what we were talking about, Willie Jeter, getting him touches. He's an explosive player. That little screen, sneaky screen, is really a running play for Jeter. Get him touches, get him in space because he's difficult to handle.
Jeter again shucks off a tackle and gets inside the 10-yard line, close to another first down.
And the thing that's deceiving about Jeter, we're looking at the one here tonight, is Greg, he can run between the tackles. I mean, he's physical, he's strong, so he's not just a scat back. He can get in between the tackles.
Well, who would have thought the Falcons would have ended on such a high note here after Marshall just came back to tie. End of 3 quarters, 28-all. We'll be right back on BCSN.
ESPN3.com is your
slip screen, and you get it in the hands of one of your best playmakers.
Jeter's numbers there. Aaron Pankratz from Sagamore Hills, Ohio. For 53 yards in the Boise State game last year. Place of Tyler Sheehan briefly in that game when Boise opened up a lead. For 2,200 yards and 27 touchdowns his senior year at Nordonia High School. Now he's in a big situation. Hand off to Jeter, and little or no penetration. Looks like it will likely go to 3rd down and short, but it really shows too of the backup quarterback. You're standing there comfortable on the sideline. You're watching the starter do a great job, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into it and the game's on the line.
Well, Coach Clausen is great at preparing quarterbacks, and Mr. Pagel's there, Pankratz is there. We've seen these guys in the spring. They can all play, and he makes sure they get reps, and you call the right plays for him. So Bowling Green does a great job there.
Kellen Pagel, the son of former NFL quarterback Mike Pagel, also Falcons signal caller. Big handoff, Pankratz up the middle. Falcons are calling for pass interference, as are their voluble fans, but no flag on the play.
Well, I think they might be right about that one. I think the Stripers could have missed one there. It looked like he was into his body before he had the opportunity to really make the catch. It was pretty close. So take a look. Got a little sit down in the middle here. Take a look, see if he gets into his body. Yeah, he reached. Well, that's a tough call. He reached around, knocked the ball off, but he did have his arm wrapped around him when he did it. That's actually an NFL move. They don't call that in the NFL, but in college, a lot of times they do. So that's an either-or shot there.
Shakur on the coverage. He ran 61 yards with a blocked field goal for the lone Marshall touchdown against Ohio State. Right on to try to give the Falcons the lead again, and he does with the chip shot field goal. 27-yarder Falcons lead 31-28. We'll be right back on BCSN. Falcons fans in a celebratory mood again as they have recaptured the lead. But again, it goes back to how big it was that they stopped that play from resulting in a touchdown, and they hold them to a field goal.
This is a sit-down pass in the middle. It's really, that's an NFL, a good play in the NFL. It's called a reach around. You reach around, you swat it down, but you grab them with offhand like he did there. That's a great play in the NFL, probably interference in college.
As it is, play stands.
Yes, it is what the stripers say. And you know what? They've done a fantastic job tonight. You've got
Falcons with the 3-point lead now. A little more tenuous than when they had that 28-7 bulge.
Tremendous game.
Right, a high, soaring kickoff. Fielded by Booker on the 2. Anytime it's in his hands, it's a threat. And he gets out to the 30, lost the ball, and the Falcons have recovered. Boo Boo Gates is right there to cradle it, and the Falcons have come up with their third huge turnover of this football game.
Well, Booker, we've talked about him all night. Up in special teams, good hit, helmet on the ball. And Boo Boo was looking for Yogi, and he found the football, Greg. I'll tell you, but that's a great special teams play because he put the helmet on the ball, and that's what knocked it out. Great play.
It looks like Tim Moore, 41, was there with Boo Boo Gates, and he was the one who got the football. And Javon Leacock, looking at him for a while there on the sideline, but he is...
How many times, Greg, have these college games come down to special teams, special teams, special teams, and you know, it really does. It's the hidden part of the collegiate game that a lot of people don't get, but if you're solid in special teams, it's going to help you win a lot of ball games.
Going back to that Toledo game last year that got the Falcons in the postseason, blocked punts early in the first quarter really ended up making the difference in that victory. And in Bowling Green with Aaron Pankratz calling the signals again. At the Marshall 34, a chance to get firmly ensconced in the saddle again here as Peter picks up 5 on first down. Let's go back to the sidelines and Kevin Breckmacher.
Thanks, guys. Injury update on quarterback Max Schills. He was being checked out by the doctors on the Falcons sideline. It's definitely a right shoulder injury. He had some pain when the doctor was touching that shoulder, so it's unlikely that he's going to return to this football game, so a blow to the Falcons there. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, the defensive coach has gotten every single Falcon defender's face after they gave up that last touchdown to Marshall and said, guys, we are going to win this football game. Positive energy continuing on the Falcons sideline. Back up to you guys.
Pitches it out to Kamar Jordan. Caught on the 23-yard line. That is his 11th reception of the ball game. Well, he's got a feeling he still might be atop the leaderboard for receptions after this game.
Nice throw by Aaron Pankratz on time, but Marshall has given Jordan too much respect tonight. They've given him an 8-10-yard cushion, and all he's doing is running a little 10-8 sideline turnouts, and he's wide open. It's pitch and catch in the backyard, and they've got to roll up on him and take some of that away.
Averaging about a half dozen yards a catch. But still damaging. Here is Jordan Hopgood. Getting down to the 16-yard line. Close to the first down. Second and 2.
Yeah, this is a little sneaky draw. Get a little lead block out in front of him. Make it look like it's going to be a counter play, and he cut it up inside as a draw.
Tyson Gale on the stop. Falcons all of a sudden positioned to add to their lead. They really need a touchdown on this drive. A field goal would still make it that one possession game. And Peter first down to the 11-yard line. Falcons are getting headway on the ground here.
See, this is, Greg, is what's going to help make Bowling Green a contender for a MAC championship. Is they're getting underneath the center at certain times of the game. We get a personal foul here.
Personal foul. Illegal block below the waist. Number 8 on the offense. 15-yard penalty.
Falcon cause.
One of the wideouts came in, and what they did is they cut somebody. They cut him at the legs, and you can't do that. You got to stay up and baseball block them. baseball block and you stay on your feet and you just kind of shout them. See the cut?
Yep.
That is a cut block. In the old days, you could cut block people, but, you know, for the safety of the kids, you don't do it.
Well away from the point of the attack.
Yeah. It was a great cut block. If it was 15 years ago, that'd have been a great block. But you got to stay up, baseball, wall to wall.
Not the kind of penalty that was really warranted from a Falcons standpoint there. 2nd and 12 from the 26. They're coming after Pankratz, but he beats it with a screen toss to Jeter. And he keeps driving inside the 10 to the 7-yard line. Very similar to that play that worked earlier when Pankratz first entered the game.
Well, it actually is the same play, Greg. You're very observant. It's just to the different side. It's still that little slip screen. What happens is, see the big, fat, sweaty guys, the orange brush? What they do is they engage their guy, 1,001, 1,002, let him come in, then they all move to the side. That's why it's called a side screen. And Jeter acts like he's going to block, and then he slips out to the side. Great call because Marshall had a little bit of blitz pressure there. Perfect call against that defense.
Great poise from the quarterback who thought he was just going to hold a clipboard tonight. All of a sudden he's facing that rush. As cool as could be, but Jeter gets nowhere on first down.
What I was getting to earlier is what's going to help Bowling Green contend for a MAC this year, I think, is they do get in underneath the center. They do run between the tackles, and they do get physical when they need to get physical, and that will make them a much tougher ball club once they get into the mat. And Jeter can carry the ball like that, Greg. Everybody looks at Jeter and thinks, well, you can't give him those kind of carries. Yes, you can.
2nd and 10. Falcon fans imploring the offense to push it into the end zone. They go for it, but picked off. A huge play there by Darryl Roberts. He's the one who made the saving tackle on the Jeter run off the screen pass on the previous drive, and now he ends this Falcon threat with an interception in the end zone.
Well, here's what went wrong here. They threw a straight fade, and a straight fade has no, they threw a touchdown in the straight fade earlier, and it has no height on it. A regular fade is a pop-up up over the top and drops in. If he throws regular fade there, he's got a chance for a touchdown. The straight fade, it was too well covered.
2 huge defensive plays by yet another Floridian, Darryl Roberts, the freshman, and he has really made some monumental plays for Marshall here in recent moments in this game. The turnover count now 3-2. Just about every one of them have been really at important times and major turnovers.
What we're seeing here, Greg, is one heck of a collegiate football game with outstanding student athletes and great coaches, great fans here at Bowling Green. This is a treat. It's a really, really good football game.
2nd straight week the Falcons have gone up against a Conference USA foe. Last week was Tulsa. There's Anderson, flares it out to the 2-yard line in the right flat. Walker got what he could from it. Short gain on the play.
Well, if you factor out the drops that Brian Anderson has had, I'm telling you what, in the 2 fluke interceptions, one that his receiver fell down and the other went through his receiver's hands, this young man has had himself a very good day throwing the football. This is steady, heady senior leadership from the Marshall quarterback.
As it is, he's 19 for 36 with 186 yards.
He probably had 5 or 6 drops in there at least.
Prove those stats. And that pass is incomplete. Woods on the coverage. That's one of the few times he's gone to that great tight end, Lee Smith, number 16 for Marshall. And he's a player we've mentioned him briefly, but honorable mention all-conference last year in spite of the fact that he played the team in the back to semifinals. He's a transfer from Tennessee. He got into a little bit of difficulty with a DUI 4 years ago at Tennessee. Really turned things around. Marshall took a chance and gave him a second opportunity, and he has just been a tremendous leader and a tremendously mature student athlete and a big leader in this squad. Here is Anderson. The pass, that time he goes back to Lee Smith, but the ball broken up again, and the Falcon defense comes up huge.
Well, Lee's mad at himself. First of all, congratulations to the young man for turning things around and being a positive contributor at Marshall University. That's thrown right in there, and Lee will be the first guy to tell you that I need to catch that ball. little skinny post, put right in on the 1 and the 6, and you got to make that catch.
So now, punting from their own end zone. 4th down and 5 to go. Falcons putting the return on. A short punt. Good job stepping up to catch it so they don't lose yardage on the return. What a hit laid on there. As Eugene Cooper just got hammered, but he held on to the football, and with it, the Falcons will get outstanding field position at the 33-yard line of Marshall. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back on BCSN. Bowling Green over Marshall. They have the ball on the 33 of the Thundering Herd, but very fortunate that they didn't lose it here, because this is just a wallop that was laid on to Eugene Cooper by number 92. James Rouse.
Yeah, and when you see it in real time and real speed, those hits are called lullabies because they put you to sleep. I mean, that's a sleeper hit.
A lullaby might put you to sleep in a little bit more gentle fashion. Hand off, there's Jeter for a couple of yards. Take a look at the second half drives. The Falcons were so efficient in the first half, 3 touchdowns put on the board, but look at that. It has not been nearly as easy going for them here in the second half of this game.
You know, sometimes people don't understand, Greg, how can you be that efficient at moving the ball in the first half and then have difficulty in the second half? Hey, the other guys practice too. And they X and O and they scheme too. They do good things also.
Pankratz pass is a little bit behind his intended receiver on the play, Nick Reekie, Falcon tight end. And now it is 3rd and 8. Falcons failed the last time they got close, and now they have to come up big here to keep it from stalling out again.
The Thundering Herd's down people defensively in the second half have been pretty physical. They're down big guys, and their linebackers are active, and their down big guys have been physical. And look for him maybe to put a little pressure on Aaron Pankratz, who's done a really nice job coming in the lead.
3rd and 8. Pressure again. Pankratz, though, he found Tyrone Crotty at the 20-yard line. He hopped past 2 defenders all the way to the end zone. Touchdown! What a dynamic play. A great run by Tyrone Crotty, the senior who missed practically all of last season. He electrifies his crowd, and the Falcons have made it a 2-possession game again.
Credit to the Bowling Green offensive coordinators and Dave Clausen. Marshall brought pressure. Pankratz stayed strong in the pocket. The Bowling Green Orange Crush up front picked him up, and they found Tyrone, and he took it in for a touchdown.
Chance to reestablish double-figure lead here, but the snap is a bad one. Brian Wright back to get it. He'll just fall on it. No attempt to throw a pass for 2 points.
Gary, I know where you're going with this. Gary Ukrainian, right? I knew you were thinking.
He played it safe. 9:21 to go in the game. Falcons by 9. We'll be right back on BCSN. his flag at City Hall.
I like it.
And Bowling Green looks like they might win that bet if they keep going, but there's a lot of time left.
Yes.
Tyrone Pronti, what a run. He's made 3 dynamic runs with the ball after catches. He was kind of a part-timer a couple of years ago, missed all last season. He was injured in the opening game early. Saw his whole season go down the drain, so we didn't really kind of see the progression of his development, but he's turned into an outstanding receiver and kick returner for the Falcons. And 37-28, although they failed to convert after that touchdown. Long kick, and that will result in a touchback. No chance for the big return. And the ex-Michigan kicker, Brian Wright, does his job there. Not bad when you can get the ex-Wolverine kicker on your squad. He's a graduate student. He actually was going into hospitality management major, but Michigan didn't have it. Bowling Green did, so he went into grad school here. There's a look at the Marshall drives. Much more efficient in the second half than in the first. Again, the role reversal between themselves and Bowling Green from the first half to the second. Now Bowling Green has recovered some equilibrium. And their defense inspired. They snuff out that first play. Better to stop Andre Booker before he's able to get going, and they did that time.
Well, that's that little peekaboo draw. What they try to do is they spread you out. Quarterback arm pumps it like he's throwing a smoke route and then slips it into the back. It's a sneaky little draw called a peekaboo.
Angelo Magnone, 55, one of the veteran Falcon players. Played all 13 games last year. Recovered a fumble to stop a Tulsa opening drive last week. It led to a Falcons score. 2nd and 11. Anderson sidesteps a rush. Pass is intercepted. Boo Boo Gates. And he is going to take that one all the way back for a touchdown. Second time the Falcons have picked one off. And taking it home for the score.
Boo Boo found Yogi that time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't at the park, it was in the end zone. But you know, the Falcons have been ball hawking on defense the whole game, Greg. They're attacking routes, they're jumping routes. This is jumping a route, attacking a route. Boom, here comes Boo Boo, heads up, into the end zone. Great job. Good job by the Falcons picking up some blocks.
Falcons now have got a bulging lead again. Chance to go up 16. Boo Boo Gates was a multiple threat, great receiver, runner, and kick returner at Middletown High School. Extra point good. Falcons 44-28, and they're way ahead of the Thundering Herd again. We'll take a break and be right back on TCSN. Facing a huge deficit again. And once more, Wright blasts one into the end zone. It'll be a touchback.
That's a huge weapon, Greg. You can boot that into the end zone, no return, comes out to the 20. And you know, you really have to credit the Bowling Green defensive coordinator, because what they did that caused that interception is they started bringing pressure on Brian Anderson again. If you let him sit unencumbered in the pocket, set his feet, he's proven that he can hit people. Well, they brought a little pressure up the middle, they made him move a little bit, and he threw high, which caused the tip and the interception.
And been a lot of stars in this game as the Falcons really outstanding in the first half. Nearly another interception, Robert Lorenzi. Let's take a look at the offensive leaders comparison here. Booker, the strength of that one big run, with a bit of an edge. Shills, until he got hurt, was having quite a game. And in the receiving department, we see that Jordan with the most receptions, but Walker with the most yardage.
You know what's deceiving about that is you see Jeter on there, and he's got 60-some in the rush game, but he's got another 70 or 80 in the pass game. Jeter has been very, very influential in this game.
Those two big screen passes that he turned into huge gains. That ball, dogfight. Keith Morgan cannot believe that Aaron Dobson caught that ball. However, it appeared to be out of bounds. He still wasn't happy that he allowed his opposing player to come up with it.
Well, old Dobbsy's a pretty good receiver. They're not going to give him that catch, but I'll tell you what, I would also be scheming ways the rest of the season to get him the football because he's a very, very good receiver.
Dobson at 4.33, the fastest in the 40-yard dash on the team, but he only beat the linebacker Mario Harvey by 0.02 of a second. Pass picked off again. And this time it is Morgan. And he is taking it back all the way for the touchdown. Third time in the game, the Falcons turn an interception into a score. Morgan wasn't happy that Dobson caught the ball out of bounds the last time. Well, he made up for it on the next play in a big way.
Well, this is every quarterback's night here on Elm Street. You know you got to throw. They know you got to throw. Everybody in the stands knows you have to throw, so they sit back and they just read the routes and jump them, and great play by the Falcons.
Falcons have established almost as big a lead. Wait a minute. They're calling this thing back. It is an interception, but they're placing it back at the 34-yard line. Touchdown is negated. So it's still 44-28. Morgan still pleased. He would have been right up there with returning that onside kick for a touchdown.
Somebody had to
year.
get Aaron Pancratz and said, hey, Aaron, you got to get underneath the center. Yeah, Dave Clausen, I agree with Dave 100%. What's going on here? There was no appropriate explanation.
Yeah, really
hot. Davis, well, he's got every reason to be mad. Give me an explanation. Tell me what's going on here.
Didn't appear to be a flag for quite some
time.
time.
You get a look at it. Brian Anderson down the middle, seam post, picked off. Have no idea what they call it.
I guess right there, on the left of your screen.
What? What did they call it?
A bit of a block in the back.
Okay, I didn't see it. Let me get another look.
It was like the earlier one. It wasn't like a big chuck in the back, but it was just enough, like a little bit of a nudge.
We get another. Okay.
We see it here at the left of the screen.
Oh, yeah, it's a great call.
You know, once more.
That's a great call by the Stripers, right on it.
That tackler is not going to make the play, so why do that?
But the rule that you tell the kids, Greg, is if you see the numbers on their back, you don't throw. He was clearly looking at the number, but the Stripers made a terrific call. That is right on the mark.
Could have left him totally untouched. Yeah. It would have been a touchdown. And you know that your team's got a big play going, so why do that? It's sort of like taking a really bad penalty in a hockey game.
Right.
It's loss of a yard there, Jeter.
But flat out, the rule is when you're going to throw, if you see the guy's numbers clearly on his back, don't throw, because that means you're in a position to cut him like that. But you know, sometimes the kids get caught up in the game, and it's hard to do.
I guess maybe they figure if they get away with it, it might make a difference between a touchdown and not one. But in that case, he said he was in no position to make the play anyway.
Right.
Second down and 12. Falcons still with the ball, still firmly in control of the game now.
Aaron Pancratz is on the bench celebrating. They didn't have a quarterback. He's looking around.
Jeter again. Falcons trying to keep the ball on the ground, work some clock, but now they face a third and long situation.
This Falcon team, you see a couple things, Greg. They play much faster defensively. They ball hawk. They play faster offensively. It's been a much quicker up-tempo on both sides, and they've added a physicality to their game where they can run between the tackles, get up inside in the red zone, because we know they've had trouble in the red zone, get up in the red zone man on man, and, you know, bloody somebody's nose, slobber knock somebody, get in there and man it up.
Now, Dave Clawson, he inherited a group from the previous coach, Greg Brandon.
Yeah, you got to play with
played with what he had,
Yeah.
but now we're starting to see Dave Clawson football on display. It's a very exciting brand. Here we go again, the third time they hit Jeter with a screen, but he got decked just as he was really starting to get moving by Ahmed Shakur. A big defensive play. I thought that was going to be another huge gainer as it was unfolding.
Yeah, see, Jeter's numbers, you know, he's at 70-some plus on the ground, but see, this is really a running play. This is one of those sneaky little slip screens off to the side, but those are running plays. Jeter's probably got about 190 to combine the pass and the run tonight. Very effective.
What a great defensive play. It looked like Jeter was going to make a big gain as it was. It stopped him a half yard shy of the first down. Now they're going for a 44-yard field goal attempt. If he doesn't make it, Marshall will still be breathing a little bit in this game. And he did not make it. So Marshall is still way down, but they're not out because of that great tackle by Ahmed Shakur.
Well, he had plenty of get up, and it looked like it hit the post, Greg, quite honestly.
Well, join Frank Corso and my partner here tonight, Tom Cole, on Rant and Rage every Thursday at 7 p.m. and be a part of the rollicking sports brawls every week. R&R only on BCSN, exclusively on Buckeye Cable System.
Mr. Corso does a great job.
You guys had an interesting chat about that Detroit-Chicago game last week on the show.
Oh, yeah, that was a catch. Holy smokes. I can't imagine it.
Again, Eddie Sullivan in the quarterback running for his life. And he does get to the sideline, but he doesn't avoid the hit as he is taken out by Lewis Parks.
Well, Sully, you can see what he brings to the table. He's got quick feet, and he can get outside the pocket. I feel kind of bad for Brian Anderson tonight, having played a lot of quarterback. He threw the ball well tonight and was really victim of a great defense playing against him, and a lot of tips and drops and put in tough situations.
Is that what you were doing, playing quarterback? Thanks for clearing that up for me.
Well, there'd be a lot of people chime in on that, I guarantee you.
2nd and 13, the pass appeared to be there, but Chuck Walker could not negotiate contact. And it was 3rd and 13.
It's funny, Greg, how fragile football is, because when you look at Marshall, this is a good football team with a lot of talent. So they need to tweak, some things and get a more consistent run game, and don't put Brian Anderson in situations where he has to constantly put the ball up. But this is a good football team.
13. This could just be the last gasp if they don't convert here. Falcons can practically run the clock out. Sullivan scrambling, airs it out, but no one anywhere near that ball. He got hit. He was under tremendous pressure by Chris Jones, and it's 4th down.
Well, and again, credit the Falcons. They're fine coaches, and Dave Clawson. This is the best I've seen them ball hawking in the secondary since I think maybe we've been doing the games, Greg. These kids in the secondary are just attacking the routes. They're attacking the football. They're aware. They're around the ball. They're playing at a very fast pace defensively.
The past, they were very talented, but they were almost more of a finesse-oriented team.
That's a better way to phrase it.
And
absolutely,
they definitely are really playing with reckless abandon. Here they have all night long.
Yep.
It's impressive the way they've recovered it after it looked like Marshall had really taken the game away from them. When they tied it up at 28, ball is caught. And there's Eugene Cooper that dared him to, okay, come and get me. Then he sped past the first couple of tacklers and got to the 50-yard line. And Bowling Green has the ball, a 16-point lead, and only 5 minutes to go. If they can move the chains a couple of times, the ball up the ground, it's going to be all over. Falcons, once again, putting a very healthy number. They've been quite an offensive juggernaut. Look at their record when they scored 30-plus points and when they have not. And it's very fortunate when you look at that the Falcons have had a good offensive team, because it's no mean feat to get 30 points in a game. And when your record's that bad, when you don't, it could be disastrous. But they've had such a strong offense since 02 with the likes of Josh Harris, Omar Jacobs, Tyler Sheehan and company. And now maybe add Matt Shills to the list. They have had a very good record over those years, thank you very much.
But the difference maker, Greg, is the improved defense and the fact that offensively the quarterback can get underneath the center, they can have double tights. The Big Orange Crush can shoot Jeter up inside between the tackles. Look at him. He is not a scat back. He is one put-together guy. You run him up tough inside, and that keeps the defense honest. And this newfound physicality is going to serve the Falcons very well once they get into the mat.
Got the speed of a scat back and the size of a scat back, but he's built like a fullback.
Yeah, he's really deceiving. He's powerful in between the tackles with great speed.
Hand off. Once again, just trying to Bull take what's there. And he gets close to a first down with 3rd and short.
Hey, credit Aaron Pancratz. You know, Greg, I can't tell you how hard. Well, I should be able to tell you that it's hard to come into a game as a backup quarterback. You don't have rhythm and timing, and they put you in that tight, tough situation. And Aaron did a tremendous job.
4:04 left to go in the ball game, and let's take a break. We'll be right back on BCSN. Willie Jeter, he was stopped apparently at the line of scrimmage, and he just somehow slipped away and got another 10 yards and moved the chains again. Yep. That cost Marshall another couple of minutes probably, just because they were unable to stop him from getting that first down. Look at this. Just like that earlier play where he looked like he was down, and he managed to keep his knee off the ground and kept going.
You know, boy, the Stripers have been super sharp. He did not touch down, and he kept his knee from hitting and got the additional yards, and the Stripers were right on there.
Even a couple where it looked kind of questionable, the replay showed that the officials were correct, which is the case most of the time.
Yeah. Jeter's like a washing machine, man. He's always moving. He's always, you know, agitating and plugging and getting after it.
Let's take a break here. 3:23 to go. Falcons by 16. We'll be right back on BCSN. Willie Jeter again. Just like telling you that half the team on his back, even though it looks like he just collapsed.
Willie's built like a washing machine, man. I'm telling you, he's in the hole, he's plugging, he's agitating. He's tough to bring down.
By some of these imposing linemen. apparently twice his size, and he just carries them.
Hey, let's credit the Orange Crush up front tonight, too, offensively. Hey, these guys have done a really nice job. They've protected the quarterbacks. They've created seams.
Even without Ben Boychuk and a converted defensive lineman playing center, he's not projected to play that position. They haven't missed a beat, even though they're without a center that is a candidate for the top center in the nation award. Jeter stopped there. He's had really kind of an interesting game. His rushing numbers are nothing out of the ordinary, but yet utilization of him as a receiver, 3 times they've hit him on screen passes that have really sprung things loose.
But that's, Greg, where statistics are. If you just measure the game that way, they're deceiving. Because those screen passes are really running plays, so really if you count that, he's over 100.
Right, if you do that, you go from 21 and 55 to 24 carries, 26 carries, and he's got 141 yards.
Those are really run plays. And the other part of it is Jeter slugging up inside. That physicality, that physical 60 yards he gets between the tackles opens up the exterior passing game. So if you don't have that, they can sit on the pass routes and close it down. So, you know, it's deceiving. You need that hard 60 inside from Jeter just to keep the defense honest and open up the outside.
And that actually feels about right for what he's done. 26 carries, 141 yards.
That is a perfect way to phrase it. That does have the feel of that type ball game for Jeter.
3rd and 1 on the 25. They can just take 2 more cracks at this. If they don't make it, they run more time off the clock. Jeter again with that second effort. And again, that's not going to help his rushing average that much, but it's a very big play. And probably all but seals Marshall's fate in this game. So, Willie Jeter is our player of the game. You look at that, 21 carries, 55 yards. How can he be player of the game? Well, this is how.
Yeah, a little slip screen to the outside, which we were talking about, really is a running play. It's a clever way to get the ball to Willie. Another slip screen on the other side. You get him out on the edge. Again, a very clever design. You notice something similar? Slip screen again. Willie against the grain, and there's a burst. He has that burst.
A little more liberal with the yardage, too, for rushing numbers, and that certainly stands him in good stead. He stopped at the 25-yard line there on the play, so maybe lose a couple of yards there as tackle was made by Michael Janik.
The washing machine Willie Jeter's been on heavy cycle tonight, Greg. I want to tell you what, because he's bruised some people inside, and he's run really nice slip screens on the outside. You know what? I've seen Willie throw some nice protection blocks in the pass game. I mean, this guy is a complete ball player.
Now the washing machines put Marshall out to dry.
Yeah, there you go.
In the second half.
Better said. That's it. But, you know, I mean, again, you know, let's give credit to this Marshall team, their kids, their school, their community. We're proud to have them on BCSN. There's tremendous history and tradition. And by the time they're done, they're going to be a good football team. You know that, and I know that.
We had a wonderful conversation before the game with the sports information director about that tragic accident that took place 40 years ago, but how it brought the whole community together with the football program.
Huntington, West Virginia is a beautiful area, and it's a great university.
And of course, they dominated the MAC, and they really raised the bar of competition in the MAC during those years where they were perennial champions. And they had the great players such as Randy Moss and Chad Pennington and Byron Leftwich. And as they were saying, it was really beneficial for them to join Conference USA for a lot of reasons in terms of the national recognition, some of the markets involved in that league, obviously some of the financial arrangements, etc. But it was a huge benefit that they brought to the MAC. It was a win-win situation. The fact that they still play so many games with MAC opponents shows that there is that connection that still exists.
Well said.
Of course, Marshall was a longtime member of the MAC even before that.
Yes.
Through the early 60s, and then rejoined for that period.
Well, and all the people from the MAC that are watching around the MAC, watching the Falcons tonight, they also learned something, and they learned that this Falcon team is going to contend in the MAC, and there's no question about that. They have all the facets, Greg. They have special teams, they have speed, they have physicality, they have quarterbacks, and they have a running game. So credit to Coach Clausen and his fine staff.
And they play exciting football. They very easily could have won their opener at Troy. They were closing in for a winning field goal and an interception. Troy ended up getting that winning field goal with 4 seconds left. They played well against a very good Tulsa team, and they really played exceptionally well here tonight against the fine Marshall team. And the final seconds running off. They will take a knee here. No, they won't. They'll hand it off. Jeter breaks away and almost made it to the end zone.
The washing machine's on heavy cycle tonight.
Yep, it's only fitting to make those numbers a little bit more in keeping for the player of the game. But that's it. Bowling Green 44, Marshall 28. One last burst of excitement for this appreciative crowd here tonight at Perry Stadium. A Falcons victory over Marshall. They go to 1-2 on the year. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on BCSN.